just a light fall, I guess. I don't know what's going on.
I think that's a lovely story, Sips, and thank you for sharing it with us.
Oh, thanks.
I think that it's difficult to.
It's really liberating for me. I mean, I've bottled that one up for years. Like I've never told anyone.
I can't believe that's your big bottle up story. Like that's the story that Sips is like.
Got one,
I must
right?
never tell someone I cared about another human being.
Everyone's got a bottle up story. Like
I've got millions, and they're way worse than that.
well, maybe I'm just lucky that I don't have anything much worse than that. Actually,
I'm not telling.
Well, I mean, I've had some awkward encounters with like females, like in the past.
Females?
Nothing like illegal or anything.
Were they awkward in the same way that Data would have an awkward date with people on the Enterprise?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm that rigid, but like. You know, like when you're young and you don't really know what the fuck is going on, like most of the time. Like I'm old and I still don't know what the fuck is going on most of the time.
Yeah, that's why I got married, because I just didn't know what the fuck
Yeah,
was
me
going
too.
on.
I just needed somebody to rescue me from my haze of not knowing what the fuck, basically.
I was like, do you know what the fuck is going on? Yes, let's get married.
Yeah, save me.
I think women are probably much closer and much more in touch with their emotions than men. I mean, men are encouraged to be these iron stones, these trees that don't waver in the hurricane.
Ooh,
you know,
I like that.
It's supposed to be you're supposed to be this mountain, this rock for her to cry on. You know, whereas she's always a storm of emotions, and you're. I think women will cry at anything sometimes, and they won't know why.
Well,
but I think
they're
men
more hormonal,
can do
though,
that
right?
sometimes, Sips. You know.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: when you're smashing the skull of your enemy and with a crudely made bone club,
Right.
you can't be getting empathetic.
No.
Ugg smash.
Well, I think at that
you
point
know,
you've
and
got
then maybe even Ugg eat.
You got so much adrenaline coursing through you, like the capacity for empathy is diminished.
Yeah, until after the fact, maybe.
I think that men and women are more similar than people realise.
Yeah.
Though, too. Like, I think Uggina could also smash.
Uggina may be able to smash, but
and she
mainly
could also
Ugg
eat.
smash, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, Ugg likes smashing.
Yeah.
Maybe Uggina don't feel like she like it, but sometimes.
Maybe Ugg not in mood for smashing tonight.
No, maybe you.
Maybe
Yeah.
Uggina have headache and poor Ugg
Yeah.
have to smash alone. We're not talking about killing people, right? Just so clarified. Yeah.
Totally shit. So no, I mean, it's great. Like I was thinking of what you were saying. Now we watched Star Wars, the new one yesterday. We're not
Oh,
talking
yeah,
about
No
spoilers.
spoilers, no spoilers.
I didn't get invited to that, so I just Jingle Jam
weren't
streamed
here, homie.
instead. So
You were
Yeah, I know.
invited, but you know,
I know.
you've already taken your quota of being away from Babby family this month. I think
That's it. Yeah,
We
it's
didn't
hard to be
expect you
away a lot. It's hard to justify being away a lot. So,
So I watched the Force Awakens, the original,
Right.
on the weekend. So I was prepared for the new one.
Sure.
And you know, it was the original. I didn't really remember it because it was a couple of years ago that I'd watched it. So I got some new bits. And man, I think Star Wars is this comfortable, Christmassy. It's familiar. It used to be when we were kids that Star Wars was a nerdy thing, right?
Right.
You were a nerd if you liked Star Wars. Now, if you're a nerd, you don't like Star Wars.
it's like geek chic now, right? It's cool to be a nerd now somehow.
It's cool to like Star Wars, and maybe it's cool to be a nerd, but the real people who actually, I think Star Wars has become so mainstream and so kind of, it's not. As a nerd, like I'm beginning to think that I don't like Star Wars.
There's not enough there for the nerds, is what
Right.
I would say.
Well,
like,
I
if you
mean,
think about Game of Thrones, that was real nerdy, but now that's mainstream.
Yeah.
So all the people I know that are like mega nerds are like, oh, Wheel of Time is the superior series now.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they've got to find the next. They're almost like hipsters. They don't want to admit they're hipsters because they probably hate hipsters. But now sci-fi has become. You've almost got to be a sci-fi hipster because you're like, yes, I enjoyed so and so, but I really think it was very derivative and yeah, the physics on those was ridiculous. You know, that's what you want as a nerd is something that satisfies every aspect.
I don't think it matters. Like, there's a bit of something for everyone. I'm reading the new Andy Weir books. He did The Martian, and you really enjoyed The Martian.
Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah, it was
It
good.
was really good. He's got this one called Artemis, which is about on moon base, right?
Does the guy get stranded on a moon base and they have to rescue him?
Not really, no.
Does he have
It's
to
more
figure out
about-
how to grow potatoes on the moon?
With poop?
Well, not really, no, but there's similar sort of stuff, similar sort of engineering-y, physics-y bits and bobs to do
Right.
with it. Like, you know, they have to, you know, weld holes in the moon base and
That's kinda cool, I
air
like
pressure
that.
and all that stuff. It's kind of, it's cool. It's a bit more sneaky because the moon base is kind of established and it's got like 20,000 people living there.
Yeah, I would like a game like Subnautica, but you're on the moon and you have to just build a base and stuff. And
There haven't really been many good living on another planet, like in our solar system, similar kind of tech to
No.
us games.
Yeah.
Like I remember there was Kerbal Space Program is one I dip in and out of now and again, and that's just fun.
Yeah, it's awesome,
Because I love
yeah.
the faces of the lads,
Yeah.
of the Kerbal guys when they
Shitting
get
their
panicked. And they start going,
pants.
oh, oh! They look
I-
like kind
I
of like
think-
Beaker.
Kerbal is almost like a trick to like teach you actual physics.
Yeah, it
almost
is.
like it's like one of these things that lures you in with the cute faces, but then you end up learning actual physics.
holy shit, it's so satisfying when you get like a craft into orbit and stuff, and you figure it
Oh, I'm
out.
so
and everything.
bad at
It's
it.
fucking awesome. It's so good. I had Twitch chat coaching me while I did it, and it was really something. It was definitely an experience. Maybe not one that I'd ever want to repeat again, but it was nice.
So we're having a lovely Christmas live stream as of
Wait,
currently this
wait.
recording
Before
session.
you
What?
move on, without spoilering Star Wars.
I felt like I should move on to avoid chatting about
Well,
it.
no,
but carry
don't
on.
spoil it. But what'd you think? Good, bad, medium?
I really enjoyed it.
You really
Yeah, I
did.
thought,
Okay.
I thought it was
Okay,
good.
because I read a couple of tweets from people that went with you guys who were like, I was disappointed. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Like,
Yeah, well, those people are assholes.
Right, okay.
And I'm going to find who they are in the office, and I'm going to kill them.
you hate
Right.
when somebody has an opinion that clashes with yours, right? Like,
No, that's not true. What I hate is when people have an opinion, they're like, I didn't like it, and the best reason they can give is other people will like it, and I don't like the company that made it.
right.
Right.
That's my problem. Like,
Right.
I don't. There are plenty of companies out there I don't like, but at least judge the film for itself.
I think
Yeah.
that
Don't judge it based on other shit. That's what I'm just saying.
I think that Star Wars is, and movies in general are short form, right? We are exposed to Netflix shows, you know, I really enjoyed watching the new Netflix Punisher.
Yeah.
And it's long form, right? It gives you really a time to ingest.
Oh shit!
get
I still
into
need to
those
watch that.
characters.
Actually, I keep forgetting
And-
I
about
finished
Punisher.
it the other night. It is good.
It's
I'm with
good.
Lewis on
Yeah,
this. Absolutely.
And I think that Star Wars hasn't got enough time. Like sometimes if you're going to introduce new characters, you don't have a huge amount of time to get settled in before the action starts. And so I think movies these days have to be more like a roller coaster, and you know, and also have nice little bits of comic relief. Some people say Star Wars doesn't take itself seriously enough, and some people say it takes itself too seriously. And like, you know, it's tough when you look at like Thor Ragnarok, which was a really, really amazing
comedy.
film this
Yeah,
year.
it's just a
It's a
comedy.
full comedy, and it's really good as a result. Whereas Star Wars has always treaded that line, like Indiana Jones, between serious and, you know,
A bit goofy,
fun, and a bit goofy.
It's
yeah,
gotta
and
have.
got those.
It's gotta have a broader appeal, though, right? Like
Exactly.
You know, Star
It's
Wars.
got the right balance.
You gotta remember that Star Wars merchandise is being sold to 6-year-old kids who are gonna want to watch the movie at some point. So it can't be.
Oh, that's where your Porg comes in.
It can't be
Yeah.
The
ultra.
Porg, you will have seen it in the trailer. They're adorable, and
Right.
Lewis was saying when he went to Japan, he saw a bajillion of them, right?
Well, yeah, because they'd obviously made all the merchandise in advance, and I didn't know what they were, because I'm like a pretty big Star Wars fan, and I was going around this section, there was just an entire wall of Porgs, and I was like, what the fuck are these? How do I not know what these are? And then, you know, a week after I came back from Japan, the Star Wars trailer came out, and it had the Porg in it. I was like, oh my god, it's like I'd seen the future or something, you know? It was crazy.
I think you gotta take movies for what they are, though. Like, I'm at the point in my life now where going to see a movie, I'll go see something if I like the look of it, and it's more of an outing. Like, I don't hinge like an awful lot on whether the movie's gonna be good or not. Like, I don't actually care.
You're just
Like,
glad to be out of the
I'm
house.
just glad to be sitting in a dark movie theater, falling asleep
Yeah.
half the time.
It's
Watching
like an
something
experience.
even semi-interesting is fine for me. Like, it really doesn't bug me. It doesn't need to fucking change my life or blow my fucking mind into
It doesn't need
pieces
to
all
make
over
you
the
tear
theater.
up and, like, you know, have an emotional moment
Yeah.
in the woods,
Yeah.
you know.
Do you know what? Like, for instance, I was talking to Ben, and he hates Harry Potter. Now, I'm no big Potter fan. All right, I tease my wife about the fact that she's read all the books all the time. I'm never going to read the books. but it's fun shit. I mean, how could you hate Harry Potter? It's just well-made kids movies.
Yeah.
He's like, and he says, "Oh, because I hate Harry Potter." Like it should have been obvious to me. Yeah, well, I hate it. Why? Because I hate Harry Potter. I was like, Ben. I mean, dude, I spoke to him. He got like 2 chapters into Red Rising and couldn't read anymore.
Really?
Well, Ben's one of these people, though, who, if something starts going, like he was watching Westworld, and Westworld has a lull, and he says, as soon as there's a lull, I'm on to something else.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'd rather not waste my time. But sometimes you have to push through lulls in series to get to the good bits. So I think Red Rising has a little bit of a lull in it, and I think that he got to. I definitely know the point at which he stopped.
Yeah.
I don't
the
mind.
weird
I don't
thing
mind
with
a
Red
bit
Rising
of a
is the
lull.
lull is at the start.
If
The lull is kind of at the start.
If the lull
Yeah.
is helping to build up or whatever, like I don't. It doesn't bug me that much at all. Actually, like sometimes it's nice to just have like a bit of a break from like non-stop shit happening in action, because the thing with Red Rising is later on, and certainly like the next 2 books are insane, like almost stressful to read, like at times. Like it's just, there's
so much shit
fucking
happening.
much going on, and
Yeah.
so many twists and stuff that
It's
just
like
gets
every
nuts.
page, something's happening.
Yeah.
It does
it's
get pretty
crazy.
nutty.
Yeah. Fuck. I can't wait for the new book to come out in January. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's like next fucking month. Holy crap. I'm gonna clear my whole
Shit.
calendar. I'm gonna put some
I was gonna
silky
try and
pajamas on, get some chicken noodle soup ready, and
I was going to try and get the
fucking-
Bodega book out, but there's no point now
No.
because there's a new Red Rising book coming out. It would have been my book on the shelf, instead it's Red Rising,
Oh,
obviously.
God, man.
That's how it goes.
I think they could coexist. You don't have to
Maybe.
worry about
Yeah.
that. So how's the Bodega book going? Have you written much?
I have, yeah. We're really, really close.
Wow.
I was trying to get it done in time for Christmas. Obviously, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are close. We are close. It's been a while.
Wanted to cash in big time on the holiday crowds.
No, I just didn't want to have to write it in 2018.
Oh right, I get it.
Yeah.
You want to
I-
write a
it's close.
sequel in 2018?
Yeah, exactly. 2018 was Bodega 2, but
We
no,
start
we
right.
are close. We are close.
Cool.
So I
That's
got
great
some
news.
man flu, guys. I must have picked it up. Like for my kids, my son's gonna be it's his last day of school today for Christmas holidays. He's gonna be on
Right.
vacation for like 2 weeks. So hopefully that'll be a bit of a germ holiday for us as well. We won't get like too sick.
Yeah,
But
here's the thing: if you're sick, right? I was sick for like 3 weeks, and because I had a sub meetup, so a bunch of my Twitch subs met up with me in London, and we had a great day. We did all kinds of cool stuff. It was a lot of fun.
But it was like one of those parties that your kids bring their parents to get them all sick.
yeah.
Yeah, it was like that. It was like one of those measles parties, right?
Parents trying to bring their kids. Yeah.
So we all met up, and like I'd been sick leading up to that with like a pretty heavy cold. But I got over it just in time. We go out, have some drinks. I get back the next day and my throat feels like someone's trying to garrote me. And I realize that I've caught some kind of a horrible throat infection and my glands on either side of my throat are like super swollen. And I was sick for another week and a half. And then I'm over it. But now I've come down here and I'm like, I'm going to be in the office and I bet I'm going to get sick from all the people in the office.
Yeah, right.
And it's one of those things because the weird thing is when you're sick, and you talk to someone you know who lives miles away that is also sick at the same time with the same kind of symptoms, that's what makes me fear that when we talk about the future of the human race, it ain't going to be some fucking meteor, it's going to be a disease.
It will,
Some disease
yeah.
is going to come along and kill us all.
It'll be like
and we're
that
gonna call up,
superbug
like,
in the hospitals. That's gonna get us all.
exactly.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, man, I'm bleeding out of the eyes. How about you? Yeah, same here. Isn't it weird? Must be one of those seasonal things. And then, your head explodes.
It's gonna be one of those bullshit like RNG disasters where like it's immune to like penicillin and something else
Fire.
and fire, and it thrives in like mild temperatures, and the
And it's
ideal
airborne.
host
And
is
it's airborne. You know what? I watched. I've never read the book, but I watched this old film called The Andromeda Strain, which I'm sure they're going to remake at some
I
point.
read that book actually. That's a Michael Crichton book.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh,
It was a really good one.
So I think it was one of his
Michael
first.
Crichton. I was reading the one that was posthumously. I've forgotten. Anyway, carry on.
Okay.
I didn't realise he died.
Yeah, he died. Yeah.
I didn't realise he died, but because there's been like 5 books released posthumously.
Jesus.
He was prolific.
Yeah, he
Yeah, he
was.
was,
Yeah.
He wrote all these books and like never put them out.
I mean, he's not John Grisham level prolific, where he
No.
manages to find a different story about a lawyer that you can span out to 1 billion pages.
No, I don't know.
every few months,
John Grisham's branched out a little bit. He's had a couple of books not about lawyers as well.
Really?
Yeah,
What were
yeah.
they about? Just
he had
solicitors.
one about like I think he grew up like on a farm or whatever. So he's had a whole bunch of books about like discovering yourself like living on a farm and stuff. And they're all
Jeez.
like pretty. He's a good writer, to be fair.
So sorry. The one I was reading, I remember now. It was like Michael Crichton. It was before Jurassic Park. He wrote it, and he wrote it about the Bone Wars, which was those two guys who were archaeologists, and they were digging up like dinosaurs, but they were competing with each other to try and discover new dinosaurs. And they discovered all these different dinosaurs by like, putting the bones together in dumb ways. But it turns out that like half the dinosaurs they discovered were not actually real. They just assembled them like wrongly from other bits of other dinosaurs.
I don't think they had 8 legs. I'm pretty sure they did. It's the 8-legosaurus.
I'm categorizing it anyway, Lenny. Fuck you.
Lenny.
8 legs.
Pete, what the fuck are you doing over here? The dinosaur, they ain't got 2 heads. Shut up, Lenny.
So, man, I've been reading a bit more. Thank God I have, because it's great. Sorry, carry on.
Michael Crichton books are generally very, very good, but the movie adaptations are usually pretty bad. Like,
What was I talking about? Andromeda Strain.
Jurassic Park.
Right.
But
the Andromeda Strain is a really good movie. Like, it's very 70s. They have computers, which look more like pocket calculators now. But they're like, well, I simply punch the command into the computer. It's one of those things where every button press, you can hear a room next door whirring. Like that with every button press. And then it spits out like a piece of paper comes out with the number 2 on it. And they're like, wow, whew, so easy. But they find this they send this thing into space to grab something from a meteorite and then come back to Earth, and it's like caught a piece of this organic material and brought it back. It crash lands in this town, and the military goes to retrieve it, but the entire town is dead,
Right.
apart from 2 people, a screaming baby and an old man. Okay, and they have to figure out what killed them. And all the people's blood is completely dried up. So when they cut them open, it's just dust that falls out.
Right.
And they're like, okay. So they take them to this special facility, and they've got this. They've got the 2 survivors, and they've got the pod where the thing must be in, and they go through all this ridiculous, very scientific and sort of believable approach to solving this problem. And it's absolutely brilliant. It's not a fast-paced movie, but it builds in drama to the conclusion, and it is well worth seeing. I recommend it. I do recommend it. I don't think it's on Netflix, but Andromeda Strain is a great film.
So it's the classic comet carrying a bit of DNA or a bit of virus, right, from space.
Yeah.
That's the panspermia like theory that life was created on Earth from a jizz, a bit of jizz,
a little bit of jizz on a rock. Yeah.
But like that comet that's coming through the solar system at the moment, not
Space
comet.
jizz.
It's like a meteor. It's like a cigar shaped. Right? So it's like 10 times as long as it is wide. So it's like a big flying dick in space.
It's phallic as hell, yeah.
Even more panspermia theory right there.
Nice.
Yeah.
A literal giant dick is flying around in space, shitting,
jizzing all over everything that crosses its path.
Jizz on planets.
Yeah.
But they were like, we should probably look at this thing, because that's not a normal shape for a meteor to be, or an asteroid to be, for it to be that shape specifically.
Dick
and of course, the
shaped,
artist's impression makes it look like a spaceship, and I was like, wow, we gotta go check this thing out.
So is this for real? There's actual...
Yeah.
This is for real, okay. There's a real
This is actually,
thing.
there is an actual cigar-shaped...
comet or something.
It's a big asteroid. It's a huge rock.
That's right.
And they're saying that if you look at the arc of it and the speed that it's traveling and where it's come from, it's not
It was launched
a
from
regular
planet.
visitor. It's a different solar system. So it's come here from another solar system, traveling through space.
Is it going to
for
do
millions
a
of years?
near-Earth flyby or whatever?
It's not coming near Earth. It's
Right.
out near the sun.
But I mean, you can see how over billions of years
Something
these
would.
things might happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, what if it grazes the atmosphere? Bits of it get shredded by the gravity and the heat and everything, and fall to Earth, and bingo, you suddenly got some new ingredients in the pot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dried up blood
Absolutely.
and stuff. Jizz. Fuck.
Just
A tiny dude.
alien,
Tiny little
alien
dude.
spunk.
E.T.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
That's-
E.T. is one of those movies. I don't know about you guys. Do you guys have a movie like that where it just makes you, it reminds you of being sick and it makes you feel a bit sick? Do you have any
No.
movies like that?
Were you sick when you watched E.T.?
I must have been, but every time I watch E.T., I feel actually sick as hell. I don't like...
That might just be E.T. Like, it's kind of sickly. I love that movie.
I don't
but-
know what it is about that movie. It just makes me feel so sick. Like I can't watch it without feeling like just terrible. Like it just...
I think that's the
I must
movie.
have
You
been,
obviously
I
just
must
don't
have had
like
the
E.T.
flu or something when I saw it like first or something, but it just always reminds
Wow.
me of being sick and just makes me feel sick as well. Like,
Damn.
yeah, fuck.
I got sick when we were playing TTT the other day.
What, like throw up
You got
sick?
motion sick.
I got motion sickness from motion sickness.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
It's something about that engine. And you were saying that you saw stuff on Reddit with people saying, was it you that was saying?
People always talk about motion sickness in these games. It's like
first-person shooters,
FOV or
especially,
the frame rate or the motion blur or the head bob or something that makes people motion sick. It's weird.
It is
different
weird.
for different people.
But it would obviously be such a subtle change, but that's all it takes for me to get sick.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Because I used to get travel sick when I was a kid, like, pretty bad. So maybe I'm just susceptible
I still
to
do.
it.
I get
I get
motion
car
sickness
sick.
pretty bad. Like if I'm not driving a car, I get pretty motion sick, and then I can't go on big roller coasters or anything like that either. They absolutely wreck me.
Oh yeah, they wreck me. But I mean, I think as long as I'm not on them for more than like a couple of minutes, I'm usually okay.
Yeah.
I went on the Pinball Wizard one
feeling
time. I went on the Pinball Wizard at Alton Towers,
Right.
and as soon as I got off, I barfed into a garbage bin. It was terrible.
I think I've done the same. Like honestly, sometimes. Like halfway through a ride, you're like, "Oh God, I've had enough of this," and then by the time you get off it, you're like,
You try your
I'm
best,
pretty bad.
right? You close your eyes, you try to hold it in and stuff, and then you just get to that point where your body's just like, nope, it's coming out, like it's got to, and then right into a
God, I
garbage
hate
can.
being sick.
I mean, but they have a reputation for being like barfomatics, though. They've been some of these roller coasters.
Yeah. I made the mistake of eating a hot dog before I went on it too.
Oh, jeez.
Now
It was
the
like a
truth
pretty
comes
long
out.
car ride up there, and we were hungry, so we stopped
I ate a
off
load
and
of
got
raw
some
eggs and,
got some hot dogs, and then fucking got there, went on the Pinball Wizard, and then the rest of the day it was just like a mess. I got sick like in the car on the way home and stuff, like, because all it takes is to get sick like once, motion sick once in the day, and then everything you do that day, like that involves any sort of movement or moving you around, just makes you feel even more sick. It's the worst.
You know Georgia or G Star.
Yeah.
Right. So she's here. She's a streamer, and she lives in Manchester. She's one of the many people that's come down for Christmas, and she was saying that Manchester has a big problem with this drug called Spice.
Right.
Have you heard of it?
It's
No,
from
it's like a
Arrakis.
legal high. Spice.
It's from what?
Arrakis.
I know. The spice must flow. That was my
Yeah.
first thought was spice.
Yeah.
Dune,
From-
desert planet. You know, I was thinking of Dune immediately,
Yeah.
but it's
But no,
actually
but
a synthetic.
is Spice the legal high stuff?
Well, it's not. I don't think it is anymore.
Right.
I think they've criminalized it because it's super bad.
Anything that's a legal high is a legal high for about a month.
No, but I mean,
Yeah.
I watched a documentary on legal highs, and they have shops and stuff, and like there's like some
but,
wizard who
they
lives
have
in
to
the
like change up
Netherlands.
what they're selling every
Yeah, they have to
month
change it
because all
because the
gets
problem
fucking
is
bad.
all you have to do is change it slightly and say no, this isn't so and so. This is blah blah.
Oh
See,
my
it's
God.
completely different chemical formula. So I'm pretty sure Spice is illegal, but it's in Manchester and Doncaster because Monkfish was saying that he has it in Doncaster as well. These guys, it's not just like they get drunk and pass out. This stuff it like makes them absolutely insane and they're just hopeless. Like their lives are ruined by this stuff.
Apparently,
Oh my
it's
God,
really big
yeah.
in prison as well. They like
Yeah,
because
because it gets you so fucked up,
Right.
And it's cheap as well. Like all these drugs are, like it's a rush to the lowest price point that gets you the most fucked up. And Georgia was saying that she saw this guy take a load of spice, was sick, and immediately just face planted straight into it, like a load of spaghetti he'd been eating or
Oh,
something.
that's fucking
And
gross.
he just lay there. He was just there. That's it. And the ambulance turned up, and they sort of waited him for him to come around, cleaned him up, and that's just his day. That's his day. He's just going to be fucked the whole
Yeah,
day.
apparently it turns you into a zombie. Like literally is what people are saying. It's like it just kind of makes you like just zonk out and just zombified. It's really, really scary. Wow, that's cool.
It's not really though.
No, I wouldn't try it, but like the fact that I've got loads of pictures of people just looking like zombies.
Oh,
Oh my
Like,
God.
I've got some pictures of it up on Google.
What do you
Yeah.
call people who take spice? Apart from idiots. Spice heads.
Spicers.
We call them what is it? Shai Hulud, the great worm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Herbalists.
Shai Hulud.
Oh my God.
Herbs.
Man, I don't know about those drugs. Like I saw, like I said, this documentary, and they were talking to this guy. He like nicknamed himself the Wizard or something, and he was like making all these synthetic drugs, like in Holland, I think it was. He had a lab and everything, and he was like he created a lot of these like early legal highs and stuff, you know, and he would just like cook up these concoctions and put like just like hints of like hallucinogenics or something in it, like not so that you would get like completely off your tits fucked up, but like a little bit fucked up sort of thing.
People are always
It's
gonna put
just so weird.
dumb stuff
Yeah.
up their nose or in their ass or whatever.
Yeah.
this is what people do. It's like from caveman times. You know, Ugg was like, Ugg finds weird thing in forest.
In Ugg's bum.
Just stick it up bum. Would Ugina like to try? No, Ugina is not stupid. Why Ugg stick stupid things up bum?
Ugg,
like,
Ugina want coke, daddy. Ugg, no coke. Ugg, broke, bitch.
It's, yeah. Is Ugina's pimp now? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
But I'm not sure where
It's a
that's
complicated
going.
relationship.
When drugs get involved, everyone becomes a pimp, right? Like.
Yeah, and everyone's a victim in a way.
But since the dawn of time, you know, people have been experimenting with this dumb stuff. Or else, how would
we know?
Found out that you can eat some of these things, or that some things were nice?
Smoking tobacco.
Do you think that's
for
why? Do you
instance.
think that's why people dare each other to do stupid things? Ugg dare Krug to eat red mushroom. Krug not want to eat red mushroom. Oh, Krug scared like Ugina. Okay, Krug eat. Oh, Krug died. Ugina, don't eat red mushroom.
It killed Krug.
Stupid display toilet.
Krug do stupid thing. Not know why.
Oh god.
I think that. I mean, that's literally the only way.
Terrible accident.
Krug full face first on red mushroom.
Krug not well.
But the thing is, you couldn't even rely on animals to teach you which ones were good to eat, because animals can eat all kinds of shit that's poisonous for us or will
Vice
kill us.
versa, yeah, like dogs can't eat chocolate.
Exactly.
You know? Fucking if we'd been like, you know, what is this strange brown thing? Give to dog. Oh no, dog has died. Must not be good for human.
What's the caveman dog name? We've got Ugg, Ugina, and Krug, sadly, who's dead.
Krug.
So you'd need a dog.
Krug sad. Krug. Grow up.
Krug dead.
Krug face planted to spaghetti barf.
What would a caveman's dog be?
I think it would just be called dog. Like that's
Dog.
pretty
Yeah,
pretty
that'd just be
caveman.
dog.
Right?
Ugg dog.
Yeah.
Ugg dog eat chocolate.
You.
Don't know why I have chocolate.
What about you? Just you.
Dog shitting everywhere now. Ugg dare Krog to eat dog poo.
Krug eat dog poop. Krug fine.
I like this like caveman jackass episode that's just
Yeah, that's how we
developing.
got here. Jackass.
Ugh,
That's
ugh,
ancient history.
dear Krug. Go downhill, shopping cart. Fuck.
Fucking hell. I'd watch that.
I would like to see cavemen nowadays. I would like to see what they
Cavemen
make
nowadays.
of it. I was thinking what would be interesting would to take someone from just like 200 or 300 years ago. Like, you know, have you heard of Samuel Pepys?
Yeah.
So Samuel Pepys was
No.
like, for anyone that doesn't know, he was a diarist, very famous diarist. He was a reasonably important guy. Like, he had pretty important jobs in his day. I think he was like in charge of the Navy or something at one point, but not in the military way.
Right.
And he was like an advisor to the king. He lived right around the time of the Great Fire of London, which was like 1666.
That's right.
He was around. He's got this like first-hand account of life in pre-Restoration London. So Restoration London was like post Great Fire, obviously, and it's fascinating. And his daily life, he's going here, he's meeting this guy, he's having lunch there. He details in his diary how he has sex with prostitutes and stuff like this, no biggie,
Nice.
and just talks a whole bunch of stuff. Now I'm thinking like his life was completely different to the way ours is now, and his values were completely different, everything like that. And that he's not that far removed. 300 years isn't really that long. But for human beings,
It
that's
is.
like, well, it is for us.
It's pretty long,
It
though,
is for
yeah.
us, but it's actually not that long. If
No.
you think about it, that's nothing.
It's a blip. You know?
I mean, there are people that are over 100 years old. So imagine 3 of those people. That's it. You're in Samuel Pepys' time. It's crazy.
it just
Fuck,
shows
man,
how-
I don't want to be 100 years old. Like, man.
That's not what I was saying.
No, we're not. I'm just saying that if you can think about it, there are people who've been alive. I mean, I think one of the oldest people alive was born in like 1898 or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, there's like I think the oldest person alive is like 125 years old or something.
Yeah, it's insane.
like French, possibly.
So a couple of them, and you're right back in Restoration London.
It is interesting how the different values, I mean, how we haven't changed as organic species since then, but what we perceive to be correct and wrong, or good or bad, or right or wrong, or evil or good,
I'm
has
wrong.
changed dramatically.
She's not alive anymore, but she died. So okay, the oldest verified person on record is French woman Jeanne Calment, who was born in 1875
Jesus.
and died in 1997.
Jesus.
All right, so
Damn.
she lived for 122 years and 164 days.
Man, bet she was still getting out and about doing
Still having a great time.
centenarians. That's what they call them.
Super centenarians.
centenarians.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a Japanese woman who lived for 117 years.
Yeah.
They have a lot of these dudes where it's just like their birth certificate is just a handwritten note that they just kept in a bag in like a barn somewhere, and they were like, "Yeah, I was born in 1703. What of it?" You're like, "Could you prove it?" "Well, there's my birth certificate." Well, it's just that it just birth and certificate are both spelt wrong, and there's no photograph, and it looks like it's in your handwriting. That's me, all right. You know, that's the proof.
The Japanese woman is called Nabi Tajima. She was born on the 4th of August, 1900, 117 years ago, and she's still alive.
Damn.
That's nuts, eh? And there's also another one. What's it? Well, okay, there's 2 Japanese people. There's also Chiyo Miyako, who was born on the 2nd of May, 1901. Has lived for 116 years.
Yeah.
And is still
I think
alive
they
as well.
put it
That's
down to the
fucking
seafood diet, and they
crazy.
drink a lot of tea. And they're not.
Right.
They're not. I think in general the Japanese lifestyle is quite healthy.
It seems to be there's four Japanese people still alive who are over 110 years old, and 2 Italians, and there's one American.
That's
There's
right.
one American.
And
here.
so
Delphine Gibson. She was born in 1903. She's still alive, 114 years old. She was born on the 17th of August, 1903. So imagine sitting down and having a powwow with Debbie.
When you look at these people, right, there's like 3 large groups of people who are the most long-lived people in the world, okay? And there's one of them is in a group of people in Japan, one of them is these group of people in Italy who have this Mediterranean diet, and one of them is this group of people in America who are quite religious. And I think that the commonalities between them is they don't eat meat. That doesn't mean they're like necessarily vegetarian. I think they still have like, I think they have some of them have some seafood. I think the Italians have quite a bit of cheese, but I think they're also vegetarianism is definitely a common thing. Like not to the extent like some people I meet out in the world are like if they don't have meat for lunch, breakfast, and dinner, they're angry, right? It's like my parents come round and you know I'm like, you know, shall we just have a cheese sandwich? And my dad's like, oh, I need to have some meat. You know, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You can go and get ham. Like, what's wrong with you? You know, you're not giving yourself enough nourishment. But actually,
you don't want to eat it every day. We're not meant to eat it every day.
So they obviously have things that are unique. You know, the Japanese people drink tea, but the Americans and the Italians certainly don't. And some of the other people. So I think the Italians have, but one of the other things was they all are still exercising. They're still active. You know, they're still walking miles every day. Usually, that's a real signifier of longevity.
And then
the other
do
one,
a lot of spice. A hell of a lot of spice.
They take a lot of. They just are injecting it directly into their ass, and they're eating all the red mushrooms
into their eyeballs and stuff.
What was the third?
The other third thing was community, right? It's to have like that they have this good support structure of family and friends around them. They have this tight knit community. And so it's the people in the church in America, it's the people in the Mediterranean islands in Italy, and it's the Japanese sort of. When we were in Japan, I remember we'd walk through this little sort of town or something, and there would be all these old people out there in a big circle in the sunshine, you know, doing like dancing around and stuff.
Nice.
And it was really surprising, I guess, to see. Because that's not what I'm used to seeing. I guess certainly in the UK, people are a little bit more insular. Families and groups are a little bit smaller. You know, I don't think putting people in old folks' homes is the same as what they have in Japan necessarily, or some of these tight knit communities where they respect their elders and they live with them and they look after them and they live in these larger groups. And I don't know. So yeah, stay active. Don't eat too much meat. And have a good community around you. Don't be lonely. You know, get out there, join groups,
that's
join
funny.
social groups.
Talking about old folks' homes, there's an old folks' home near me in Twickenham. That's like an old folks' home for actors.
Yeah.
And stage performers, and they're all like super old, so you've never heard of any of them, but they're obviously famous in their day. So my mum looked them up, and she was like, "Oh, I remember him. He was quite the hunk in his time."
Right.
And now they're living in that home. Like you never see them, but the house is amazing. They have all kinds of cool stuff going on. Occasionally, you'll see like a party through the window. You'll see like a party when my face is pressed up against it, trying to catch a glimpse of what's going on in there. You know, they appear to be having a good time and everything. They have good Christmas decorations every year. But I was like, maybe that's really good. Maybe the actors are going to be happy because they're in a home with other actors and they've got like a social thing going on. I bet their Christmas play is knockout. Like, I bet that's amazing. But maybe that's it. Being stuck on your own in one of those granny flats, praying that your kids visit you once a fortnight or whatever.
Oh, God.
That can't be healthy.
No, I don't think it is. I think physical health, though, is just as important as mental health. I think that people underestimate that a lot, and you can see it a lot that people, like, almost like, you know, when, I hate to say it, when, you know, you've got this old couple and one of them dies, the other one usually doesn't stick around much longer, do they? And it's certainly a thing that
I think maybe having the internet will change that.
Cannot be so good.
As long as the Dota servers are running, I'm good.
Right, I see. So if your wife were to like conk it, you wouldn't even notice. You'd be like, well,
better go queue US East.
It's great.
Oh, man.
We live in interesting times, definitely.
We do, yeah. I just imagine that old Debbie from the 1900s all the way up to like, you know, like born in 1901 and then living through everything that led up to like 2017.
Of the 20th century,
I mean, that's fucking crazy. She lived through 2 world wars, like countless fucking conflicts, like that America got involved in. As she, like, you know, she being America.
She went from a world with no cars to cars everywhere.
Absolutely,
Flight, like, became technology. A thing. We went into space.
9/11 and terrorism and space,
Jesus.
JFK, like, holy shit, so much stuff has happened in her lifetime. It's insane.
Yeah, I wonder, like, people sort of, I think a lot of people in our age seem to think that science is gonna dig them out of holes almost. It's like gonna be like, oh, you know, by the time I'm old enough to get this disease, they will have solved that disease, you know, or by the time, you know, global warming is a thing, the scientists, the boffins in the lab will have come up with some answer for it, so we won't have to bother, you know, terribly worry about it.
Well, it's weird though, because the world is, like, we've talked about this before, I'm sure, the world's changed a lot since like the 60s and the 70s. I think like in the 60s and the 70s there was a sort of spirit of like progressiveness and, you know, like curing things and solving problems and doing stuff because it was like really awesome and stuff, and now it's a lot more sort of focused on how much money you can make off these things, and it hamstrings the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
So like, instead of curing diseases, now we manage them, and we charge people for the management of those diseases.
I think that's that's a quite cynical outlook on it, but I think that is just an inevitable consequence of
absolutely
the way that our economy is set up. You know, I completely agree with what you said there, that if you were in charge of a big billion-dollar drug company and someone in your company came to you and said, oh, hey, Billy, that's my name, head of the company.
Billy.
Billy, listen.
We've cured AIDS!
We've come up with a cure for AIDS. And he's like, well, quickly hide that. We're not going to fucking, we're not going to make any money if we cure it. We need to treat it. You know, I don't want cures, I want treatments.
I know people who've worked for those big companies, like GlaxoSmithKline and stuff like that, and they're not actively working on cures for anything. That's not what they do. All they do is they think, how can we manage it? Like, that's literally, it's not that if they stumbled across the cure for that, they would bury it. I think it's literally that they're just avoiding working on stuff that looks like it might cure things.
Well, yeah, and also, you know, diseases that, it's a profit-driven business, you know, if it's like, you know, if we've got a disease that's affecting this many people, then we can make this much money. You know, if this disease is a bit rare, it's going to be not that profitable for us to make a cure for it. But also that kind of encourages them to make up diseases almost as well, or to try and define what diseases are. I think this is the most difficult thing when it comes to mental health, because everyone's different. Everyone's mental health is different, and so how do you do it? How do you make a drug for that works for everyone? Thing that works
if you look at something like autism, if you look at autism, the idea that there's been an explosion in the number of people that have autism is as wrong as saying that there's been like an explosion in the number of people diagnosed with carpal tunnel, right? Before people knew what carpal tunnel was, of course there were no fucking people being diagnosed with it. Same with autism. Before it was fully understood, or as well as it is now, of course people weren't being diagnosed with it as much. There's not been an explosion in cases. It's been an explosion in diagnosis. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Autism is like one of those ones, a bit like OCD we talked about a couple of episodes ago, where you know, people claim to have OCD when they don't have it. And
Right.
it's the same with autism. People accuse other people of having autism
Yeah.
when they clearly don't have it. Because they display like one behavior of like an autistic person. You know, they call them autistic or whatever, and they're not diagnosed autistic. They're not autistic.
Yeah.
But it's like one of those things that just gets thrown around very loosely now.
I
you know,
think
like-
it's a little bit like your emotional thing, Sits. You're almost like saying, oh, well, I had an experience where I was sympathetic to a guy who'd fallen over when I was 8 years old.
What's wrong with me?
And so you're saying what's wrong with me.
I'm some sort of pussy. What's wrong with me?
But if you haven't had experience of that, or you have, it's totally fine. Like it doesn't make you weird or different to not. You know, when you're a kid and you're not really sure, and in your mind is like setting up. Like I'm sure everyone's had embarrassing moments where they, I don't know, pooped the bed. Or I'm not talking about myself.
God, so
you know,
many times.
Or
like
you know, said something that was mean, or you know, don't feel bad about that. You know, because the fact that you're almost like the fact that you're aware that happened kind of negates that. It's like people who are actually insane don't think they're insane. You see what I mean?
no, that's it. Yeah.
It's kind of because you're able to sort of have a little think around it. Don't overthink it either. Don't get stuck in the. It's a complicated.
Don't be
thing.
hyper aware
Try not
of
to-
everything that you do, but like, you know, if you have some sort of like ability to like reflect upon yourself, sort of thing, and you're probably sort of okay.
Yeah.
But like, if you think that there's nothing wrong with you, and
Unless you're
people-
reflecting on how delicious human flesh is. Like,
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah,
thinking,
yeah,
man,
yeah, it does.
that dude I killed and ate, that really was tasty.
So I mean, okay, this brings me on to one thing I suppose about Star Wars, right? And I don't know whether this isn't a spoiler.
Okay.
Star Wars people are like
Right.
stormtroopers, okay? Not because they've got the masks on and because they're all uniform, they aren't people, right? And so you can blow them up and fling them off cliffs and do all this to them,
Yeah.
right? If they had their masks open and they had human faces and you saw them
Yeah.
contort into horrific, you know, or have their chins like blown off,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it would
Like
be a
Finn.
very different movie.
Yeah, he was humanized the moment he took his hat off, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
He suddenly became, and so it's kind of, but also in the same way, there is one bit in the new Star Wars which, if you really are like super anti-spoilers, this is, I don't think this is a spoiler, but if you are super anti-spoilers and you haven't seen the movie yet and you're like,
Just
I don't want to hear
pause
anything,
for a second.
just
No, don't pause. Just how long are you going to mute
skip, like literally a minute.
for? Okay, 1 minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, so here we go. So this is
So
a bit,
Chewie dies,
It's a bit with
and,
there's a bit with Porgs, right?
Right.
And there's a bit where it's like a throwaway scene where Chewbacca is holding
Eats
a cooked
one.
porg,
Right.
and it's like a little miniature chicken. It looks
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a rotisserie chicken that has been cooked, like a Tesco
It
chicken.
looks delicious.
It looks delicious. But the point is that almost, for me, defined like the difference between what we see in supermarkets and what we see in. So for kids, they won't even be able to tell that they won't even be able to associate that cooked porg with a real porg,
Maybe, yeah.
right? Because it's like so.
I think he's
different
just eating
almost.
chicken somehow.
Yeah. Do you see what I'm saying? Because most
Yeah.
kids like don't have that difference. But if you'd actually seen Chewbacca have to put a net over a porg and then like strangle
Yeah.
the porg to death and then like pluck all the feathers off the
Slit its
porg,
jugular and drain it
then
out
drain
and
it of its
stuff,
blood,
yeah.
stick a fucking rotisserie thing up its ass and roast it on the fire for 5 minutes.
And then you witness Chewbacca sitting there thinking, "Hang on a second, I've done this once. What if I did it a million times?"
Well,
And then
exactly.
he
For a
starts
start,
like a
all the
slaughterhouse.
porgs are sitting around
Yeah.
him in this little bit of the film, being like, you know, if those porgs had seen him, like, they'd be running a mile for a start.
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah.
he's surrounded by. So anyway, that I don't think that's a real spoiler.
It's not a real spoiler. It's not a clutch scene.
It's not important, you know, but for me that was a really weird moment in the movie that almost signified that the people who've made this movie are very hyper aware of what they can and can't show to kids and what's okay to show to kids and what the censored violence is. It's like stormtroopers are okay to kill
Yeah,
and
you're
maim
right, but not the
and
porgs.
put through a
Yeah.
fan. You know, one of them falls through
Yeah,
a
one of
fan.
them gets confetti.
And that's he gets confettied, and it's like it's okay because he's in a mask and he's nameless and he's faceless and he doesn't have a line, and the violence is totally cool because these
You're right.
But maybe the next movie that's not part of the trilogy, like Rogue One, will be about that stormtrooper and the events that lead up to him getting confetti.
I
So
guess-
you have like a
I would
you
love
can
to
see
see a
what his
Stormtrooper
family
movie,
life is like, and he's like,
I guess I don't know.
you know,
if
it turns out he's a
I'm
prolific pog eater and stuff, and then like you don't feel so bad when he gets confetti because he's a fucking monster.
I'm just wondering whether we normalize things that we shouldn't normalize through these types of little clever Hollywood tricks and tips to get away, because they're right on the edge of not being okay, right? Do you know what I mean? They're right. We can. They're human beings, but because we've put masks on, we can do whatever we want to them.
Well, they're mostly clones, though, right? Like, is that
clones of people
aren't
too?
they-
But they're not clones in this, are they? Because Finn isn't one, is he?
Yeah, no, they were clones.
Oh, that's true.
Remember?
Yeah,
They're
they
not
were,
clones.
They were clones,
And
but
so,
they're not.
like-
But even then, if you clone a human being, are you saying that the clone is not a human
Are they
being?
all expendable at that point?
I don't know. It's a tough one.
I mean,
isn't
your
it? Like,
kids are like
I think
a kind
if there
of
was
clone.
duplicates of me, I
Aren't
would
they?
say yeah, they're pretty expendable actually.
No,
but then,
clones are people, man. That's the whole point.
I mean, people will. I don't know where I was going with that thought, but I think I was just sort of wandering around it, because it's kind of become. It's kind of weird, isn't it? It's kind of weird. Anyway, it's been there for ages. You know, it's been around for ages. People need to find harmless exits or whatever it is for their animal urges. Harmless like ways to
Releases.
get out their releases.
Yeah.
And it's a classic thing. I think like Bertrand Russell said that that's a thing that we need, because we are cavemen.
Yeah.
And we have these urges, and maybe, like having these things that are fairly.
So you think we can voyeuristically satisfy our desire to see someone getting confetti?
But maybe, yeah. But maybe it doesn't need to be that. Maybe it just needs to be like the Splatoon kind of, cartoony.
I mean,
people
but that's why.
exploding into puffs of fireworks.
Right, I think that's why sport is so popular. It's because essentially you're watching a struggle.
Yeah.
Physical struggle between two people, often requiring strength or skill. And it's all like we love to watch sport where an object is thrown or hit very accurately or kicked. Like there always needs to be a token involved. Tennis ball, football, basketball, baseball, a cricket ball, anything. It always seems to involve some kind of token.
Yeah, what
And
about
we, like-
karate though?
Well, karate is fighting. That's just a pure sport, like boxing, wrestling.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
so I mean, there are some things like Formula
Wrestling.
One, which obviously probably
Yeah.
doesn't appeal to our caveman instincts, but more of our sort of, ooh, look how fast they're going instincts.
Well, competitiveness.
Yeah, but even
and
just seeing
whatever is
I mean,
the
look at
thing,
drag
too.
racing. Drag
Yeah.
racing, you're just watching two very loud, noisy things go, "Roar," like, along a track. So that's appealing to
Yeah.
our sort of, ooh, sort of a wow, isn't that cool? So yeah,
Yeah.
but I think a lot of sport, if you really look at it, we want to see crunching tackles and people getting kicked up in the air. We want to see amazing feats of dexterity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the
Yeah.
same kind of thing. As much as we would like to see UGG really smash that
Yeah,
wilderness.
because I don't know how much human on human killing is built into our caveman genome, in a sense. Like how much of that needs to be satisfied by when you watch a movie. How much gratuitous violence does there have to be? Does there have to be any? Because I watch a lot of kung fu movies, and they don't have to fight necessarily 500 different guys. It's mostly just a couple of guys fighting for a while, or one big guy, two badasses, and they're both super badass.
Yeah,
and you're like,
yeah.
who's the most badass? Do you know what I mean? That's what
Yeah.
it's about. It's like a struggle. It's like wrestling. It's
But
like,
here's the thing,
but it's
right?
not wrestling. Is not one guy versus 500.
It's true.
necessarily.
Although that would be awesome.
yeah.
But the thing
That
is,
would be pretty sweet,
movies
yeah.
didn't used to be this violent. TV didn't used to be this violent. When there's a director called Sam Peckinpah, right? He directed a very famous western called The Wild Bunch, one of my favorite movies. And this was revolutionary in terms of the violence it portrayed on screen. All right, no film had been this violent before. Like films were just not violent. If someone shot, you'd see a shot of them going bang, and then you cut to a shot of the guy going erg and falling over. So having the shot of the guy pulling the trigger and someone dying in the same frame was like unheard of.
Yeah, the old war movies with like the ballerina death scenes.
Right, and
like-
it's like that. So
Yeah.
nowadays, I mean, geez, if you look at, like you were saying, that guy gets turned into confetti. That wouldn't happen in a movie 50 years ago, especially a kids' movie.
Well, exactly. I mean, even in Star Wars, think about the original Star Wars. A lot of the time they were, especially in the first movie, they're running away from the stormtroopers.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They're not actively just sizing their way through these places.
Yeah.
It's kind of like.
But so if this is about satisfying some innate desire in us to see people getting torn apart, why is it only now? Why didn't we have that previously? Or was it literally because that was most people's everyday for a very long
because
time?
this has tested well with audiences, and it's this natural evolution towards what people want?
No,
to see?
I think
Or is
our
it-
daily lives are so non-violent and non-struggle based in the West that we're happy to see this kind of shit. We're just desensitized to it because we're not sensitive to it. I don't think we were ever desensitized to it. I just think we were never sensitive to it because it's just an alien concept to most of us.
I think it might just be the whole concept of facelessness, though. Like, you know, if you can't put like a name and a face on something, then you don't value it, and you're happy to just kill it.
Maybe.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
Like a stormtrooper.
On the topic of violence and people getting killed, it actually sounds in the background like that's happening in your office.
Is that Mousy?
Mousy is recording in our office, so this whole podcast has been punctuated by
screeching.
By Mousy screeching.
Screaming, yeah.
She isn't being strangled, I promise.
She's fine.
Maybe she is, actually.
Good.
We
Should
definitely
check on
don't have it. I was tempted to look because earlier it sounded like she was sobbing, but then I realized
Right.
it was all part of the video. So whatever it is she's recording, if a video comes out and
It's a tearjerker.
there's a lot of it's a real tearjerker,
Wow.
then you know when it
God.
was recorded. But
Sorry,
yeah.
this podcast's gone up and down a lot of ways. It's not been very Christmassy. It's not been very. We were thinking
Oh
of
yeah,
a live one.
it'll actually be Christmas. Yeah, we were thinking of doing a live one where we, me and Lewis sit in the
Oh yeah.
streaming room, but yeah, we didn't.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we might be able to do a live one next week if you're around, Sips. That might be nice for peeps.
Okay, we could try it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll be
alright.
around. So, and I mean, we've got like the setup for dad decks and stuff. So you be able to get me on the screen and stuff. I
Cool.
can do it.
Yeah, thanks.
let's do it.
I've met a lot of people this year who've been big fans of Triforce, and a lot of people have said great things about this podcast. You know,
Someone posted on the Reddit that we're one of the top downloaded comedy podcasts.
yeah, which I can't believe. But
That's
behind
nuts.
Russell Brand,
I mean,
who's
top
actually-
100,
who's actually
maybe.
a real flipping celebrity and stuff, and actually is a professional. You know, who knows what he's
Wanker.
doing. Whereas, I don't think we should say things like that about other people. I think Russell Brand's a cool guy. I'm a big fan
About
of
our
Russell Brand.
competition, we need to rise above it. You know, maybe this time next year we're gonna be the top one downloaded comedy podcast, and then Russell Brand is gonna turn around and be like, "That guy called me a wanker." It's gonna discredit us.
I stand by it.
Oh, get away!
I'm not going to be mates with Russell Brand ever.
What do
I'm
you
never
mean?
going to work with Russell Brand. Why would I ever come into contact with him?
He's a nice guy.
He's not.
We might come into contact. We might do a podcast with him. You might want the best comedy podcasts. Come
All right, I've got
together.
one final word to say on it.
What?
Right, he's
What if
He's
one
a
day you
wanker. Is
need
that your
blood and he donates blood to you? Would you change your mind?
No.
What
I
if
don't want
Mouse
his
is like
blood.
dying? Listen to her. She needs his blood, and he's gonna give it. And
She's-
she's
Well, yeah,
She's
all right.
bleeding out in there.
I would confetti him, scoop up the blood, and pour it down her neck.
That's not okay. Well, Jesus. All right. Well, there you go.
He's got a
That's,
lot of hair though. There'd be just like it'd be like really like furbally hairy blood.
All right. Let's end the podcast on that bombshell.
Right.
Thanks everyone for
There
listening.
goes the Russell Brand tie-in series we were going to do. We're going to have a whole
it's
bunch
all
of
ruined.
brand
Sorry about that,
deals.
guys. I know a lot of you
It's
were
a
looking forward
brand
to it,
deal.
but Seth Flax cucked us, so we're fucked now. We can't do it. So anyway,
All
Merry
right.
Christmas and
Have a great Christmas.
Yeah, we'll see you
Happy
next
New
time,
Year.
everyone.
And see you next time.
All right.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.
Hello!
Hi.
Shall we do the podcast?
That's not how you said you were going to start. You said you were going to start with a
didn't
jolly
say I
little
was-
toot on your horn. Period. Flax.
No, I just said, how does this sound? I just wanted to know how this sounds. I have a couple of toilet rolls here, and I'm tooting through the middle of them. Da, 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 da.
Well, it sounded better than that when you did it before. Also, why do you have a couple of toilet rolls by your? Actually, I think I can think of a reason.
No. When it comes to my seed, where it lands is where it lands. I give no care.
Oh my gosh, you just sow
this
it
is-
wildly. Your wild
just-
oats
what?
are just
What
across
is
the
a man
land.
meant to do? A seed cannot be contained.
There are
Seed must
many
be spread.
small, bald little boys running around today.
Yeah.
Who knows? Across the country and across, I guess, your living room and bedroom
Well,
floor.
When the thing is, when I ejaculate, it's like when you blow one of those dandelion clocks. You know,
Right.
every sperm has a tiny parachute.
Oh my
and
god,
it
it's like a
floats off
Disney
out the
film.
window.
Like they
Yeah.
all fly out the window. They've all got little faces, little bald heads. They just like fly across the land, the wintry landscape. Just like with happy smiles on their faces, going
it.
into people's windows where there's a lady maybe enjoying herself too. and he flies down.
With a little determined look on his face.
Man,
little
this
determined
got
look.
suddenly
Whoa!
elaborate somehow. I don't like. Is this something that you think about like fairly often? Or?
I think of little. Sometimes Disney films happen in my head.
Nice.
You know, it could be, just think it could be a story about a little parachute, a little adventurer, a little soldier, a little explorer of period flags, right? Who's gone into a strange jungle. Like, I'm thinking
a vagina.
I'm thinking of a microscopic world, you know, like
Just a
ants,
weird
you know?
jungle.
Only
Yeah.
like instead of like big tall trees, it's like pubes that are like really big and tall, and he's having to like machete his way through.
I mean,
them.
I'm subjected to like a lot of like children's television programming, right? Like just from having.
I like the
kids
word
and stuff. Flags.
subjected. Yeah, that's a good choice.
But like, I always like to think that like, you know, it's all very wholesome. All of the presenters are like super happy-go-lucky, and they're always smiling and wide-eyed.
But
and
at the
stuff.
same time, they always have this darkness behind their eyes, as if doing children's entertainment has sucked
That's what
their
I think.
soul
Yeah,
out.
that's I like to think. I like to think that. Yeah, I like to imagine that like, you know, they're at the studio and they're filming like their latest thing, and they're all wide-eyed and smiley and stuff like that. And then literally like it does a jump cut to them in the evening, and they're just like sitting around in their underpants, like drinking a gallon of vodka and crying all night and stuff. Like, I get some satisfaction from knowing that
the
happens.
next morning in the dressing room, they're like staring at themselves.
Having just like really depressing sex with a prostitute and like not enjoying it and stuff.
and they like finish, and then they go up to their mirror and they snort like a line of cocaine.
They've got like a towel next to their bed for when they're done with like prostitute and stuff, and like, oh man,
and
what
then
a
they
life.
slap themselves in the face a couple of times, and they walk
Yeah,
out onto
and
on
then
stage. Hello, children.
Yeah.
Happy time.
They stare at themselves in the mirror for a couple of hours holding like a revolver to their head, but they never go through with it and stuff. Like, oh,
Yeah.
God.
A makeup lady pats like, you know, some
The life of a-
some like red cheeks makeup onto their
Children's
sunken
presenter.
eyes.
Yeah, I think that's how it goes. I mean,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong. If you're listening out there and you're a children's presenter, let me know what your life is like outside of the studio, because I'm interested to know, because all I got is basically that. That's how I view them all. That's what I think. It regardless of gender as well.
Yeah.
I think that's what they go home and do.
YouTubers and stuff.
They're just
too,
into
and-
some really devious shit, like teachers. Remember, there was a show on TV about teachers, and they were always like drunk and stuff like that. I imagine that teachers are the same, pretty much. You know, like you trust them to take care of your kids during the day, and they do like a reasonable job of it and stuff. But at night, like, I bet you they just fucking hate themselves, and they're just like mashing like their balls with a potato masher all night, and just generally hating themselves and stuff.
I think it's like nurses and doctors are meant to work hard, play hard, right? It's like
Yeah.
if you have to do something looking after other people, I think it's ironic that if you do that, when you've got free time, you attempt to destroy your own body as fast as possible with alcohol and drugs.
Yeah, that's what I feel.
But that's always the way it is with doctors. I think at medical school is always work hard, play hard. That was their sort of attitude from the start. You know, they did more work than anyone and partied harder than anyone. They were just making the most. They were burning the candle at both ends.
Yeah, I mean,
You
coal
know.
miners were kind of like that too. And then on that episode of The Simpsons,
Got to be careful
where
not to burn a candle in a
the
coal
guys
mine.
with no shirts who work in the anvil factory, like they work hard and they play much harder than they work.
We
sort
work
of thing.
hard, we
Yeah.
play hard.
Yeah, exactly. Like I guess
That's such a cliche.
It is,
No, but I
yeah.
think these children's presents, I have a lot of respect for them, honestly. But I can see
I know.
like the creepiness happening. Like there's that spate of
not
YouTube.
even 1 ounce of respect for them. Actually,
There's
I
this
think.
whole lot of like pregnant Elsa fucking Spider-Man, or there was like a Disney. I think there was a like Minnie Mouse pissing on Spider-Man YouTube video, but it wasn't
What?
like it was for
What?
kids. It wasn't called that. It was like called like
Right.
you know. Minnie gives Spider-Man
Minnie Mouse
a
pisses
shower,
on
a surprise,
Spider-Man.
like stuff like this. Like, oh god, there's
What the-
so much.
It's been removed by the user. Thank God.
Yeah, thank God for that. Maybe they just like had second thoughts. You know.
There's so much of
Mickey
this
Mouse
shit on
needs
YouTube.
to pee on Minnie Mouse's bathtub. What the Christ am I
My
watching?
video of Minnie Mouse pissing on Spider-Man went viral, but I had second thoughts about it after it hit a couple of million views.
I'm watching a video of Mickey Mouse pissing in the bathtub while the baby mouse is taking a dump, and then Minnie Mouse comes in wearing a bikini. What the fuck is this?
Have you seen this shit on YouTube? It's like it's for like
it's for kids and stuff.
This ain't for kids, homie.
But it's
That's
so
not for
weird.
kids.
It's
I wouldn't
super
want,
like.
kids like peeing and pooing and they think it's funny, but like I don't want them to see their. Like my daughter loves Minnie Mouse, and I'm not sure how she would react to Minnie Mouse pissing on someone.
Yeah, this ain't cool.
I think.
This
Do
ain't for
you know what? Though,
I feel
think
like
it
that
is?
would traumatize her.
But for example, this one I'm just looking at is like Mickey Mouse babies pee on the Minnie Mouse bathtub, family finger song, nursery rhymes #2. It's like,
Right.
It's like, do you know what I think it is? Right. This is what.
You
this
know
is
what
my...
though? Like I know that exists, but what's wrong with just some good old-fashioned London bridges falling down? Like that never hurt anybody.
Well,
Yep.
Why don't we just stick to the golden oldies instead
people
of
who
like
don't
trying
know-
to shake things up?
You're
like
right.
Minnie Mouse is pissing in Mickey's mouth, pissing in Mickey's mouth. We don't need to. It's fine. London Bridge is fine. Like it's been around for a while. It's tried, tested, and true. We don't need to subject our kids to people
Spider-Man
pissing.
likes to shit on a cat. Shit on a
Spider-Man
cat.
likes to felch Mickey Mouse, felch Mickey Mouse. Like we don't need this.
Yeah, we don't need that.
We don't need that.
We don't need it. No, but the thing is, I think it's like well, a lot of people have said, it's like search terms. So if you don't know about this, it's basically this spate of weird shit on YouTube. It's been going on for ages. It's like kids oriented, and basically what kids do is, so many kids now, you see them, they are just on iPads and they're just browsing through YouTube videos, and it's part of the reason why a lot of these
Well,
Minecraft channels are quite
Oh,
popular.
absolutely. Yeah,
But-
you can see. I mean, with my kids as well, we don't even let them go on YouTube that much. But anytime they're given even half the chance, they're on there looking up nursery rhymes and it's crazy how easy it is to navigate for them. They can get around. Like it's nuts.
And there is
But they're
this
only
like YouTube
small.
Kids section as well, which has like somewhat approved stuff on it. To make sure that's sort of safe for kids and stuff. And also, there are some safeguards, but mostly there's a lot of. You end up looping around, right, to like weird videos. It's like related. It's like You know what happens when you click? If you keep clicking a related video over and over again, it's gonna go weird.
Yeah,
pretty
eventually you
quick.
get to the weird part of YouTube.
It's like sometimes when you go away and leave your PC on and it's been like auto-playing YouTube videos and you're like, what the fuck? I've just watched 10 Stampy videos. How has this
Why
happened?
is Mickey Mouse shitting on Minnie's chest?
Again!
Where am I?
The other thing is kids copy everything they fucking see.
Yeah, that's the
They
other
copy
thing,
everything.
yeah.
Daddy, what? Why did insert older sibling's name here? Shit on my tummy? Well, let's ask them. Why did you shit on insert younger sibling's name here? Tummy? Because Mickey did it to Spider-Man, and I'm Mickey, and he was Spider-Man, so I shit on his stomach.
My son came home from school the other day and he did like the dab the haters thing with the fucking put his like arms like the thing and stuff.
He
and
dabbed. Is what you're trying to say.
And my wife was like, "What the fuck is he doing?" And I was like, "Honestly, I don't fucking know. Like I'm on the internet a lot, and I've seen that before, and I still don't fucking know what it is or what it means."
What, the dab?
Well, like I mean, I loosely get it. I've never but my 5-year-old son has come home from school and he's done that. So like I don't know what the fuck like his friends at school are like watching on
dabbing.
YouTube. They're dabbing, I guess. Yeah, but
Do
like
you know what? Do you
I'm not sure that it sits well with me, Like, I don't think that
I
my
know.
5-year-old son should be memeing in real
But
life.
don't worry about that. Don't worry about dabbing. All right. Here's the thing. Does anybody still Harlem Shake? Do you remember the Harlem Shake?
That
No
was
one
a
does
real
that.
flash in the pan. I mean,
Right.
that lasted
but
for a
but
week.
so's dabbing, dude. That's all the same shit. The internet now. I mean, in my day, fads were around for a few years before they got old because it
That's
took that
true,
long.
actually,
took
yeah.
that long to. I think the word is promulgate.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I'm gonna Google if promulgate is the right word.
No, it sounds about right. That's where you all of your little dudes
To
parachute
promote or
out,
make
right?
widely known, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
So when
That's
I
what you do every
promulgate
day
my
when you see
seed,
it in front of
exactly. When I
Right.
promulgate my seed or a meme, right nowadays the internet, it's promulgated much more quickly. It's out there in the wild like that. In those, a few years ago, pre-internet, it took years for shit to promulgate. Now you get daily promulgation. It's ridiculous.
I feel like you're trying to say propagate, but maybe.
no, promulgate.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So like I like this whole like thing on YouTube is a evolutionary thing, right? So basically, what people do is they see what keywords are hot, like Spider-Man, Mickey Mouse, and they'll make
Dumping.
videos and do shit deliberately to cater for those hot fucking keywords, right? And then what they'll do is so I think it's a combination of just quantity, right? So they just pick these shit YouTube channels in, I don't know, Russia. It could be like this Russian troll farm.
You know what?
making them. Fuck
Well, you know
knows.
what I found as well?
What?
I think there's a lot of like animation houses based out of India who like absolutely saturate YouTube with like children's content. Because I'm not even joking. Watch like any nursery rhyme video, and it's an Indian woman with a heavy like Indian English accent singing songs, and the animation is, I mean, I don't want to be rude, like I probably couldn't do much better, but then again, I'm not like, but
I agree. Like,
holy
there must be-
fuck,
I
the
think
animation is fucking terrible.
It's just
Like,
being swamped, okay? And all they need to do
Fuck.
is for a couple of them to get caught up in YouTube's net of, you know, cut the
Recommendations
right keywords, right?
and- yeah,
and
yeah,
I think
exactly.
that's why a lot of this stuff, like the pissing and the pooping, has come about. Because I think what happens is, right, you get the kids looking for Mickey Mouse and Spider-Man, but you get the adults looking for pissing and, you know, all the sick
pooping.
stuff, right?
On YouTube though, like there's
No, I
other,
don't know.
There's other tube
I'm just throwing it
networks
out
where
there,
that's
but then I think
probably
what happens
more
is that the
readily
search
available.
history of the kids and the search history of the dads get blended together on the iPad. And you end up with
Oh, I
some holy
see.
grail,
I
right? An unholy
see.
grail of the perfect search history, which hits both everyone who uses the iPad.
Oh, I
right?
guess that's why my daughter was watching like awkward Minnie Mouse being choked videos the other day. I guess it was just a weird sort of you know, like brewing pot of my search results and hers.
I
Weird.
don't know. I'm
Anyway.
just sort of throwing that out there as a no. I think it's just the way YouTube's shitty algorithm happens to work is that you end up with this weird shit getting promoted, and also it's kind of tough to like sometimes tell whether something, because the amount they're creating, you know, I think in Eastern Europe and India, like you said, like I reckon there's just these animation houses creating this stuff, like and just
where they're
shitting
probably
it
just
out.
like, we're gonna pay you guys all very, very little, and can you guys just all work on getting together as many nursery rhyme videos as possible? We
Yeah,
want to
and we'll
publish
just-
about 1,000 a month.
We'll mash
And
them
then-
out on loads of different channels. We'll put loads of different keywords, and
Yeah.
then some of them will just stick. It's like sometimes that happens. Like I remember Terps has got his original South Park playthrough right on YouTube, and one of the episodes was like, I think he named it like Mum Fucks Kid or something. Do you know what I mean?
my
And that
God.
one has like 1 million views, and the rest have
Oh
like
my
5.
god.
You know, and it's just
Wow.
like episode 43 in the middle just has a fucking shitload of views. And sometimes YouTube just grabs these videos and throws them out. And, you know, if these animation houses can make like, you know, a couple of grand out of each of those, you know, just through YouTube ads, like while it sticks around and before it eventually gets, someone removes it. But, you know, it's tough to even tell. Like, I think if YouTube were to check all these videos one by one, you know, they would never end up fucking. No one knows, right? First of all, hardly anyone really watches what their kids are watching. First of all, it's probably like a lot of people just think it's innocent. Oh, it's just funny. Like, you know, where's the line as well? Like, where's the line on this shit? You know, when is it? Because
Yeah.
kids are talking about shitting and pissing and stuff all the time. But you know, where's the line? You know?
Yeah, but it's not like in a set. They don't have any. They're not like sexual kids, right? They don't have any concept of that. So like they wouldn't like have any sort of concept of arousal like in and around shitting and pissing like a demented adult would, sort of thing.
But even then,
yeah.
like, even if it didn't have any, like, any actual sexual content or perverted content like that, maybe if it just had, like, just a creepy fat Spider-Man in a
Like
in a
kids
creepy
like
costume,
shitting and pissing, but they
you
laugh
know.
about farting and shitting and pissing in their pants, which is
Yeah.
very
So do we,
different.
to be fair, but yeah.
Well, I
mean,
do too, yeah, but like I don't get a boner while I'm talking about
Yeah,
it. That's
exactly.
for sure.
Right, yeah.
And then we have multiple levels to when we
Yeah,
joke
I mean,
about
if in
stuff.
actual fact, I have like a reverse boner when I'm talking about shit in my pants. Like that's not something I. Ever,
It's gross, man.
it
I don't know
really
if
is
people are into
gross,
that.
man. My shit stinks. Like there's
Yeah, I don't
no
want that
other
on my
place
dick.
for it but the toilet. Like,
Oh,
and
God.
even then, sometimes I feel bad for the toilet. I'm like, geez.
That's not just one of those things. Like some people just like boobies, some people like asses, some people like legs. You know that. Some
Yeah.
people like the weird stuff. Like I want to shit on you, or I want you to shit on me.
Yeah,
and stuff.
that's a bit weird.
Something has happened in your past, and that's become your hang-up. Like that's not just a fetish. That's like a mental hang-up about something.
Yeah.
I'd love to know more about what it is, but there's something going on. Nobody just one day goes, "Huh, I really like someone shitting on me." You know, that's something that's in you from a very, very
or
early age.
eating shit as well. I mean, how the fuck do you?
Yeah.
You know, like the 2 girls, 1 cup and stuff. Like, how the fuck are you not barfing your fucking
I've
brains
never watched
out?
it.
Like,
Never watched it. Managed
whilst
to avoid
eating shit. Like,
But it's a classic shock thing, right?
It's just
more-
like we've got to be hard coded at a very base level to not eat our own shit.
Hey,
Like, you have
let's
to
move-
train past
Let's
that.
move on. Let's move on from shitting and pissing because I just felt like no, it's enough. It's enough.
All right.
It's Christmas, by the way.
Yeah,
this
Merry
podcast
Christmas,
is going out
everybody.
on like the fucking
Fuck.
6th or 7th of December. I don't know if there's going to be any other podcast in December. But we will try our best to record.
We'll try our best.
and they'll be
yeah.
definitely
Will we?
more. They'll definitely more.
Will we try our best?
Be more Christmassy.
Well, let's put some context to our best, okay? For me, my best is like, I feel a bit groggy today. I think I'm just gonna take a week off. So
Yeah, I've been sick for 2 weeks, and
Right.
I've still turned up for recordings, Chris. All I'm saying is you could learn a thing or two from Purple Flags.
well, what the fuck, man?
Alright.
I haven't ditched out on any recordings.
he hasn't.
Like what?
No, I can't think of any.
I want
can't
some
think of
dates
any.
and times, my friend,
All right,
because I'm pretty sure I showed up
hang
to
on.
everything I needed to,
I
bare
have
minimum.
I have a spreadsheet.
Right,
Let me
okay.
I've got
hold on.
spreadsheets too.
I've got
so
spreadsheets too, guys. So
Let me just load up my spreadsheet. Hold on. Here we go. Wait, I'm
Right.
just entering the search formula.
okay,
Hold on.
and the results are.
Yeah, you're clean. You're good.
Okay, good. Phew. Man, I was really worried there for a minute.
No, it's okay. You're good. You're good.
Hey, so listen, I just want to let it be known before I forget. I did watch The Apprentice this week, and I caught up on the last week's one as well. And I can tell you that The Apprentice that I watched last night, this is the UK Apprentice with Lord Sugar, Alan Sugar himself, was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to watch in my life. Wow, it was. I mean, cringe doesn't even cover it. Holy crap! I had to close my eyes and plug
Oh,
my
no.
ears as well. It was so bad. Like,
Give
there
me the
was some-
rundown. What was so bad?
So the task this time was they had to make like a recipe in a box. You know, like you go to if you go to the grocery store now, it has you could buy like a box with everything that you need to prepare like a prepared meal,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
like say you
yeah.
wanted to make a chicken curry. This
It's got the
box
whole
would
thing.
have all the raw ingredients and then really fucking foolproof instructions on how to
Right,
prepare
right.
this dish, right? So the task was they had to do this themselves. They had to come up with like branding for it. They had to figure out what they wanted to the dish that they wanted to create. They had to create the dish, and then they had to sort of do like almost they had to do a presentation to a bunch of big wigs from supermarkets and whatever, like in the UK, and then you won the task if they chose yours more over the other ones, right? So like, but the actual presentations, one group thought that they were doing like a cooking show, and oh my god, and they were trying to like. They were dressed up as salt and pepper shakers, and they were making these fucking terrible jokes, and they just sucked at presenting it. Oh god, it was really fucking awful. Jesus, the crowd was just like not laughing at anything, and they just looked pissed off, and like apparently some of the food was burnt and stuff, and oh fuck, I couldn't believe it. It was
Good
awful.
God.
It was really, really fucking tough to get
I think
through.
the worst thing about The Apprentice for me is that if let's say you're really, really good at being on The Apprentice, right? How much of the shit? Because the show has to have variety. Like it's basically
Sure.
a variety kind of show,
It
right? So
is,
you've got to
yeah.
you can't have every week they put together a very careful and considered business plan.
No, but you know
submit it
what?
to
I think
various
it would be
meetings.
watchable if they were actually competent and successful in the tasks. But every task
Maybe.
just seems to be a fucking train wreck that they just
Yeah,
scrape through.
because they
I
want to
mean-
make it something that's like funky, hilarious, good TV. Like
They
that's their whole
there's
thing, right?
no way they recruit competent people. It's like classically in the it's that classic story about the Crystal Maze. Like, was it Ben who had a friend and the guys who were going to be on the Crystal Maze or whatever? And so they went in for the interview, and they completed a couple of challenges. They were okay, and they were like, "No, you're too good. We can't have you on the show." That's it. Like literally, that's it for The Apprentice. They literally are like, "Well, the top 50% of people you're not on. The top 60% of people you're too good. We want the bottom fucking scrapings of idiots. We want the
Oh,
scrubs. We want those
no.
guys who come in for an interview and they're fucking hopeless, and you're like, yeah, you're a fucking idiot. You're not getting this job. You're the apprentice. Perfect. That's who we want.
They're
Do you
such
understand?
bullshitters. Like, they just bullshit all the time. Like, I know, like, people are like that in general. Like, I've worked with many in the past who just get by bullshitting, but oh fuck, it's tedious to watch. It's tedious to have to experience in real life, and it just sucks to watch as well, really. I would watch a show where they were really fucking good.
It's that classic television, though. People love that cringe television. It's what's really
I
caught
don't.
on.
I find
it's everywhere. No,
impossible
I find
to
it
watch.
awful. But
Yeah.
It's all like that.
everyone
TV's
likes
all
to
like
laugh
that.
at people worse than them. Everyone likes to see celebs without makeup. Everyone likes to see people fail. Everyone likes to see people high and mighty try their best and then fail because it makes them feel better about themselves.
When did this become?
Yeah, the
When
norm.
did this become TV?
I want to see success. I want to feel worse about myself when I watch
It's a
TV.
matter of evolution. That's the
I'm
thing.
sitting
It's like,
there in
it's
my
popular.
undies eating ice cream. Like, I'm already feeling pretty bad. Like, just make me feel a little bit worse. I deserve it. I'm an asshole.
It is evolution, though. It's like people watch this, people talk about this, and that's why. The reason that we aren't talking about other TV shows right now is because this is successful. This is a successful formula, and
It
that's
is,
why
but-
they keep making it. Do you
I
understand?
don't watch TV. Fuck
It's
TV.
not rocket science. It's evolution. It's like
I don't
just,
really watch that much TV either, actually. I mean, I quite like I like the format of The Apprentice, but man, the contestants just drive me fucking nuts. Like,
They're supposed
You know what?
to.
A show I used to
know,
like was
I know, but-
Dragon's Den. I liked Dragon's Den.
But Dragon's
right?
Den was another one. It was guaranteed every single person, and it's like these people have never watched the show before. They come in
Yeah,
and they
that's the
value
weirdest
their
part.
business at £1 million, and that is just like the fucking red flag that goes up for everyone on the panel, the dragons, to say you're fucking full of shit. Like, there's no way you're selling £1 million worth of stickers in like 3 months or whatever your stupid business idea is. You know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy. But they always do it.
It's always some stupid thing. I've come up with a new kind of doorstop. And I value my business at £4 billion.
Yeah.
And they'll write it down, and they're
Yeah.
like, okay, Peter Jones has a question. Yeah, I've got a question for you. I'm just looking at your valuation here, and it looks completely bonkers to me, quite honestly, bonkers. £4 billion valuation. How do you get that valuation?
He looks like personally offended every single
he really
time.
does. And they'll always be like, well, we looked at the cost of our unit, which is £8, and our profit on that is £5, and we counted the number of doors in the country, and we multiplied the profit by the number of doors in the country, and that's what we came out with, 4 billion. They're like, you know, it's literally like that. We assume we're going to sell our doorstop to everybody who owns a door.
Yeah,
And they're going to have
they
one of
haven't
our
even
doorstops
they
on
have
every
like
door.
they have no contracts. They have no like nobody is like using them for supply. Nothing like it's
Nobody
just like-
wants it. It doesn't even work.
Like-
It's a piece of garbage, but it's worth 4 billion.
Theoretically, it's worth 4 billion, but we haven't actually.
And that's only the UK. We're going to scale it up internationally. This thing's going to be worth $1 trillion. The doorstop company. That's how they work.
Man. Yeah. I mean, I like Dragon's Den as well. I haven't watched it in a couple of years, but like I used to watch it about as regularly as The Apprentice sort of thing. You know, we'd make a point to like set aside the time to watch it and stuff, and it was good fun sort of thing. But like, fuck, I don't know. I don't
Now
know.
the things I watch now, like I watch the nature document, like the Blue Planet 2. I'm watching that at the moment. I watch reruns of stuff, and I'll watch Strictly Come Dancing, but only the intro because it's such an amazing piece of television. The way they do this show, and they like the camera changes,
the professional dancers are phenomenal.
It's amazing.
Like, they are.
I mean, it's
incredible.
just if you look at it as a Saturday night piece of telly,
and really,
it's absolute gold.
You know, if that's what you're doing, that's your profession. I feel like Strictly Come Dancing is like the, you know, like one of the best things that you could do like for your career, bar none sort of thing. Like,
I mean, they're household names.
Yeah, because what other like opportunities are there for you to like get a really big name in dancing that like spills into like, you know, sort of like mass media? There isn't. It's just like it just doesn't happen. Like you could be like some renowned dancer like or whatever, but like, you know, most people won't have heard of you unless they're really interested in going to like a ballet or like whatever. Some sort of dance. I don't even know.
Like, I don't really watch the show. I just watch the intro.
They're very
first 5 minutes.
quintessentially British, right? Like Bake Off and Strictly are very British shows. You know, I feel like they're a combination of, you know, people putting themselves on the line and kind of embarrassing themselves a little bit like I'm a celebrity or like, you know, get me out there.
I think that's like the very opposite end. I feel like MasterChef, I find every time I've watched it, the people who are on it seem competent. They seem to be able to cook. Like the stuff that they make looks pretty good. Like you can tell they've thought about it and stuff. And like
I mean,
certainly
obviously
the more it chugs on to the end of the series, like you know, like
but
when
at the same
you
time,
have like
it's
the
like,
finalists and
it's
stuff.
like taking celebrities out of their comfort zone and making them kind of put them more pressure in it, but at the same time being quite British and quite cozy, I guess, television with a bit of that fake drama thrown in. It's like, James is angry with Tim because Tim has borrowed his salt shaker and not returned it. But by the way,
to British people, it's like,
while they're
whoa.
arguing, Janine's souffle has been in the oven for 30 seconds too long, and she's not paying attention. Oh no, my souffle's been in the oven for 30 seconds too long, and I've not been paying attention.
I think my favorite British show still, and I'm sure they do them other places, it's not just in Britain, but I feel like it works better in Britain because of the state of housing in Britain. It's Homes Under the Hammer, because man, do they ever get some stinkers. And they make them look really fucking nice in the end, too. It's crazy. Like, I don't think there's any other country in the world where, like, some of the housing in Britain is just really trash. Like, can be really fucking bad.
But it's still worth, like, £500,000.
Yeah, when it's all done and everything. But, like, it always amazes me that, like, they're like, oh yeah, my friend's a roofer and he came in and did the job for free. And so you're like, wow, okay, great. I mean, it's good. But no, Homes Under the Hammer is really good. I like
you know what? Another show I've been watching recently is this one where it's like MasterChef. It's got, I think it's Prue Leith is one of the people, or someone like that, and some other guy, the Italian chef, I can't remember his name. And it's like a family comes in.
Right.
And it's like families cooking competitively. So you'll have like the Smith family against the some other family, and they have to cook a dish and prepare it, and they come to their home and they cook them a lovely meal and stuff. That was a good show. Like, I actually really enjoyed that. I don't know why. It was good. It was good. I like cookery shows sometimes, but I'll sit and watch it if Mrs. F is watching it, but I'll never go out of my way to watch.
No, hell no.
Anything.
That's the thing. My like TV for me is very much like my wife wants to watch something and asks if I want to watch it with her, and then I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, that sounds fine, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I would never seek it out
like,
myself.
never.
Like if my wife never asked me to watch TV, I would occupy all of my spare time exclusively to playing video games. Like
yeah,
I just
like literally be in here 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, we grew up in an era when TV was all that people watched. Like, there was no fucking, like, if you rented a movie, that was like a Friday night or a Saturday night's treat thing.
Oh man,
you didn't have a
renting
movie every
movies
fucking
was
night.
awesome. You remember you used to get like the big bundles? I don't know if you guys had this, but like I remember like on Friday after school, we'd get home. My parents would get home from work at like 5 or 6 or whatever. We'd eat some dinner, and usually because it was Friday, it would just be something like, like pizza or something like that.
Yeah,
something
yeah.
that they didn't have to prepare. And then everybody would get in the car and we'd go to the movie store and we would literally rent like 20 movies. And then that was us the whole weekend, just like movies or video games and stuff. And it was awesome. God, I loved it. It was so good. We'd get to watch.
But no, I mean, so that's us, right? So think how much TV young people must be watching.
Yeah,
I mean, if
that's
you're listening
true,
to this
yeah.
podcast, you're like 17 or 18 years old. Be honest, how much TV do you watch? I'd love to know. Like, there must be some kind of fucking survey out there.
I don't know.
Because when I stream, I'm sure you're the same, Chris, right? The same people tune in every night to watch me stream. Like, I stream pretty much every day of the week.
Yeah, yeah.
And I see the same people in chat every time, and I'm
Oh,
like,
absolutely, yeah.
this is crazy. Like, I mean, a lot of them have me on the second monitor, so they're not really paying attention, which is fine. You
Yeah,
know, I don't really pay attention to
I've
anything
always
either.
got a stream open on a second
Yeah,
monitor.
sure. I
watch
mean, you
lots of
just got it
streams.
on.
Yeah.
But in the old days, you'd be on the TV. Also, a lot of people watch on their phones. So
Yeah.
I'll be streaming and someone's like, oh, I'm in a lecture right now. I'm like, damn. So they're in a lecture in university with their phone in their lap, watching me play Dota instead of getting an education.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
the alternative to that is just like what I did at school is just not go to the lectures. Like I
Yeah,
never
literally.
listened anyway, so I just stayed home. Like I bought all the books that I needed. I had all the course material and stuff, and I just basically I might as well just have done it like correspondence learning or whatever. You
Yeah.
know, like because I never went to the lectures. It was just such a pain in the ass to get out there to them. Some of them were so early in the morning that it was just like I never learned anything from going to the lectures. Like it was just awful.
There was one lecture, I was talking about this the other day on Discord with some of my guys, and a lot of them are at university, a lot of them are students and stuff. And there was one lecture, like at the start of every year, you'd got your timetable of all the modules that you'd have to do that year and everything. And we'd look through it, and the ones that were called things like networking for businesses and stuff, you go, oh, I could learn that off the course sheet. I don't need a lecture for that. The ones about database, like how to actually code a proper database and how to structure it, you're going to that lecture. The one of this guy, it was a procedural computing language. I think it was something called procedural. It was called Z or Z. And it was basically a way to formally structure what the program was going to do with this mathematical notation. It was incredibly hard, this lecture, right? It was like the densest fucking lecture that we had. So difficult. And the lectures were the best attended. There was like 100% attendance of these lectures because it's an important module. And it was so hard that we needed to be in the class with the lecturer and he would explain it. And so we could put hands up and say, can you explain that again? And there was a whole 1 week, the whole lecture was on recursion. So if you've not done any programming, the programmer's joke for recursion is, if you look recursion up in the dictionary, it just says C recursion. Yeah. Right? That's it. So you just keep looking, you know, so a recursive loop is just, it basically, it keeps doing it and doing it, but it's calling itself, which is a very fucked up kind of idea. And you're like, how does it ever not do that? You know, it's sort of like the idea of a recursive loop is kind of tricky because it's like saying, you know, to understand how this works, you need to read this book. And when you reopen the book, it says, to understand how this works, you need to read this book. And so, you know, you can't continually cycling through. So it's crazy. So that lecture blew a lot of people's minds. We were all in there, like 100% attendance. But most of the lectures, the guy gets up, he's reading off a sheet, he's writing the notes on the board, and that's it. He can give you the fucking sheet and you can read it at home. And when you get the coursework, the questions are dead simple. You look at the coursework, you read the notes, bosh, you're done. I mean, that was most of university for me. So I could see why people could look at their fucking phones. Most lectures, I just wanted to turn up so that they didn't think had not, you know, that I dropped the course or whatever. I was still at university. Yeah. But God, I must have missed like 50% of my fucking.
No, me too.
Oh man, I missed even more. But the problem with me was that I went to school in the same city that I lived in, right? Like, so I still lived with my parents at the time. I was like,
that's gotta suck.
21, I guess, when I started going to college. So it was like, I had to take a bus to the other side of the city, and all in all, one trip from where my parents lived to school was an hour and a half of busing, like just one way, and then back again, like, you know, in the evening or whatever. So like at first, you know, it was just like, oh, you know, this is all new and fresh, and I gotta be there, and like, you know, I made a couple of like friends that, like, you know, we spoke to. Back then it was MSN Messenger. That was like the big thing. Like, that's what you used, right? So I got them all on Messenger, and then slowly over time I went less and less and less until basically I just boycotted going altogether. Because I just, like, I had the books, I just knew where to find like everything that I needed, like I knew when everything was due and stuff. And then so I just stay home, play Counter-Strike like all day, and then fucking whenever I needed to actually do something, I just get on MSN and speak to somebody who'd actually gone to the lectures and say like, what, you know, what do I need to do? And they tell me, and then I would just turn up for exams or to like hand stuff in, and that was it. Yeah. Like, it was just, fuck me. Like, it was, lectures were just like such a write-off for me. Like, I just, I'm not the type of person who can sit there and listen to people and like and soak it in. Like, it's just, I can't do it. Like, I just have to do and try. Like, maybe I'm nuts or something, but like I'm very sort of like, I learn when I'm doing stuff, like hands-on and trying stuff. Like, I can't just listen to somebody explain something to me and then do it.
I find it very, very hard. I mean, my eldest daughter, she's terrible at listening. And when she got her report at the end of last year, and it was great. Like, I actually cried. Her report was so good. I was so proud of her. And, you know, it was fantastic. And I was telling her it was great. And it's all good. Like, it's all like above expectation, everything. Like, they don't list it as A, B, C at that age. It's just like, she's where she should be, she's not where she should be, or she's ahead of where she should be. And everything was ahead of where she should be, apart from the religious education, which she didn't give a shit about. And I was like, I don't care. And the other bit was listening. The listening skills need work. And I was like, I'm gonna have to talk to the teacher about that. And he goes, well, she just kind of gets all distant and she's off in her own dream world and she doesn't really pay attention. And I'm like, shit. I criticize her for it and I say she shouldn't do it, but that's me. That is literally me.
I think that's pretty much everyone. Like,
no, it's really not. This is what I've discovered, is I assumed everybody was like this. But they're really not. Like, a lot of people really listen and pay attention.
Man,
I would come out of lectures or come out of a conversation and, like, Mrs. F, She does this all the time. We'll talk to someone very briefly, and later on she'll say, "Can you believe what so-and-so said?" I'm like, "Who said what?" And she'll have to remind me of the entire conversation. I'll forget stuff that I spoke to someone about the day before. She doesn't. Like, some people just don't. She fucking remembers she has a conversation with someone, she remembers it.
Yeah.
She goes to a talk, she remembers the talk. There are people like that.
People
I'm
start
not
talking
like
to
that.
me, and I just instantly I start thinking of like Mickey taking a dump on Minnie's chest and stuff.
Exactly.
I'm gone. I'm in some weird sort of like scat fetish Disney mashup, and then that's it.
I'm thinking about that right now.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think in the future we'll see more kind of. I don't know. Even when I was at uni, I was thinking like, "Fuck, I could do all this from home, couldn't I?" And I think that. With
Thing
the
is,
internet,
when I
maybe
went
that'll
though, the
happen more.
technology wasn't quite there. I think nowadays, especially, you could do absolutely everything. You never need to physically go to school now. Like if I went to school again now, I would never go. And I would feel fine about that.
At the same time, like, we all thought that this would happen, right? Like 10 years ago, we all thought, oh, Second Life's a thing. You can just go into a school classroom there. You can just get your lecture notes from there. You can have even a teacher can like broadcast himself from his or her bedroom, and teach us like he's streaming.
Yeah.
We thought that this would happen, and it hasn't at all. Like nothing
just like
has changed.
Skype your tutor or whatever, and say,
I mean, I'm sure like some elements of that must be happening, but like generally, it feels like the majority of stuff is still done in person, and the majority.
I think the reason for that is simple, though, right? If you think about it, the reason for it is that you have to pay to go to fucking university. How do you know that if you're Skyping your class or whatever, that there's not just a bunch of other people freeloading on that lecture who haven't paid to attend university and are gonna fucking learn? If you want to learn
be
stuff,
absolutely terrible if people were able to just learn for free?
I know. Imagine that.
Imagine
you
that
can't have
kind
people
of
learning
world.
for
That's
free.
not the fucking world I want to live in.
Exactly. I want poor people to stay uneducated.
Yeah.
All right. And only the rich deserve knowledge.
Yeah.
And if you're poor and you can't afford education,
Fuck
guess
you.
what? You can borrow the money. You can borrow the money, and you can fucking pay it back, you piece of shit. And you don't get a fucking house. Burn in hell.
So in Jersey, where I live, they've just announced that they're going to pay tuitions for every Islander that wants to go to university, where their family income is below $150,000 a year.
Cool.
And they'll pay half tuition fees for families that earn over $150,000 a year, which is fantastic, isn't it? Like it's a small place, so I guess they could do it, sort of thing.
Yeah, got to spend all that Apple profits somehow.
Well, that's it. Yeah, but it's a good commitment, though, isn't it? To sort of getting people, there's like anywhere, like even Jersey being a small place, there are a lot of people who are like on benefits, like rely on like social housing and stuff like that, and feel like. I don't know, like just when I read that, it just seemed like such a good thing, like somebody who maybe is with a family who don't have a lot of money or don't have a background of being educated or whatever. It gives them the chance to finish school and then go to university and get an education, like a further education, and potentially land a really fucking good job and make a good living, sort of thing. Just
Social mobility that's the only way to solve
gets them
poverty.
out of the rut, right? Like gets them out of the.
I mean, that's the thing is if you
it's a cycle.
limit.
It's totally
Yeah,
a
but
cycle.
exactly. If you limit access to good jobs to people whose families already have good jobs,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Like, why would you ever think that's a good idea? And
No,
think
but
about it
it's-
this way. Let's say I've thought this for a while. Let's say you're a heartless industrialist.
Yeah.
Right? You're like one of those big fat guys with a cigar and a top hat. I got the factory. I got the workers. I don't want to pay them more than a dime an hour, but the goddamn government makes me pay them a nickel an hour.
Yeah.
Garbage.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So it's like Winston Churchill, fused
Like the
together
Monopoly
with
guy.
Trump.
If the
Yeah.
Monopoly guy was like a real guy, right?
Yeah.
If you're that guy, let's say you're looking at poor people and you think scroungers, and you like Alan Sugar's like, oh, self-made, I made me, like we talked about this the other week. I made my millions myself. I don't need that fucking handouts. All these poor people need to pull their finger out. Most people aren't like you. If you want a society where you can have educated workers, Mr. Industrialist, right? Why would you pass over the chance to get some really talented people who just had a shit start in life, even looking at it that way? As the most heartless conservative possible, you have all these people out there that you're passing over on automatically. They might be brilliant. They might be the geniuses that you desperately need in your stupid fucking doorstop making business, and you're just
valued
saying,
at
nah,
$4
fuck
billion
it.
a year. Yeah.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't, but
like
it's
if even like health. If you're looking at healthcare and you're saying people should have to pay for it, even if you're the monopoly man and you've got a factory making doorstops, if your workers are getting sick and they can't work because they're all getting sick and you've got to retrain new ones, even from your perspective, paying for healthcare should surely be a good thing, because having healthy customers and healthy workers is good for everybody. I just don't get it, man. I don't fucking get it.
It's the way she fucking goes, Flax. It's just the way she fucking goes. You know, sometimes she goes, sometimes she doesn't.
You know, I was thinking, when you guys were talking about porn earlier, I was thinking this is something I've thought for a while, right?
Right. Okay.
We weren't really talking about porn, but sure.
We
go on.
are-
Yeah,
always
we
talk
touched on
about
it. We touched
porn.
on it. So I've been thinking,
I
right?
didn't touch
The guys that make porn,
Yeah.
okay. I think a lot of them are frustrated filmmakers who have fallen into pornography.
Absolutely,
And,
yeah.
Right, and they're like, they wanted to make like a great western or
Yeah.
like a really good drama or something like that. And these cameramen and the editors and the directors and all the rest of it, they're like, well, no movie studios will take my ideas, so I'm just going to make porn.
I mean, have you seen anyone who works here, P-Flax? You've just employed everyone in our office as well. Like, everyone didn't think they'd end up drawing pictures of a fucking stupid dwarf every day or like editing some dumbass podcast together.
Right.
So
that,
you know,
they thought
they
they'd
were
be
going to
like
be
Hollywood,
making the
right?
next. They thought they were going to be the next
Exactly.
fucking, you know,
Everybody's got
Stanley
dreams.
Kubrick making the next
But
fucking
they're not
masterpiece.
making porn, right? They're not making porn. So the guys that are making porn,
worse.
this is my favorite part of it. No, this is my favorite part of it. If you watch like porn, not the stuff that's just like a hand cam and the guy's just filming his dick going into a woman. Like he's literally just filming it like, oh, you won't believe this. Look at this. He's filming it.
Listen to the noise.
Right. I'm talking about where there's like a set and there's lights and they've carefully lit
Stay
it.
there in that bathtub, Minnie. Stay
Yeah,
there.
you just wait, Minnie, you wait there. Mickey, when I wave my arm like this, you enter, you deliver your line. Well, hi there, Minnie. Looks like you need someone to shit on your tummy. Right?
Needs a poo.
You deliver that line.
Wait,
right?
wait,
No, but
Spider-Man, you're going to have to come in at this point.
Spider-Man, when I wave my left arm, you swing in on your web and you jizz all over everything, and then you zip on out of there. Okay. And they're like, yeah, thumbs up, you know, so they're ready to go. But the director there, he's like putting the scene together in his mind. So he's like, that you know, they have the shots like it's a TV show. Like they'll have a shot, like they'll have a conversation shot. There's like a over the shoulder, like convo. So I can't remember what they call that. One-on-one. Like there's a specific term for when you shoot it with one person's looking at the other person and you film it over their shoulder, but it's like forced perspective. So they're actually looking. You look it up anyway. So they'll have those kind of shots, and then they'll have the cutaway shot for the editor. Right? So anytime you're filming something, if you have a transition shot, you need to cut to something else. And often they're like, well, shit, if we're filming a woman getting fucked and we're like, from her perspective, like, you know, we're looking at her face and the dude's behind her, you can't really see him. How can I cut from this to the shot they always do for like 2 minutes of any porno film, which is underneath between the legs when you see the guy's ball sack hanging down, and he's just so you can make just almost like this is the proof. If we have to go to court and prove these people fucked, look at this shot. This is a 2-minute shot, a static shot of this guy's dick banging away with his balls slapping all over the place. Gotta make sure we get that shot, right? But before they go from the face shot with, you know, where we're looking at her face and he's behind her, and we cut to the ball shot, we need a cutaway shot. They can't cut to the scenery because you can't cut away from the action, right? So they cut to the dude's face because there's nothing else to cut to of him going, oh yeah, this is good, oh yeah. All the dudes watching this are like, don't fucking show the dude's face. What are you doing? Come on. But they have to because they're filmmakers. Nobody wants to see the dude's face when he's fucking this girl, but they always have to cut to his face because the editors are like, you gotta give me something to cut to. So like, oh fine, we'll shoot 3 minutes of this guy. He's clearly not having sex when they cut to his face. It's just like a shot of him gurning and going, yeah, this is good. You look it up, you'll see it in a lot of pornos.
Nice.
Okay. Jeez, I won't be able to unsee that.
I never
now.
watch porno, so I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, sure.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ! I had a few things to say, but I've lost them along the way.
Yeah, God, this has been a crazy one. This is what happens when we miss a week. Look, everybody's got a million things that they want to say. Listen, let's talk about video games for 2 seconds because I want to brag about how good my Commander Iron Man XCOM 2 War of the Chosen run's going. Holy fuck, boys. Like, it's going good. I did a Chosen mission yesterday, okay, where, like, you know, I had all 3 of the missions done. I went in to kill a Chosen. Yeah. We were fighting the Chosen, and my Grenadier, who happened to have a what's the mod where you get executions? Is it a repeater? I want to say it's a repeater. Yeah.
So I don't think that's even a mod. I think that's just in the game.
It procs very, very, very rarely.
5%.
Yeah, and so
no, some of them are 10%.
So I'm fighting the assassin. She's stealth, but she used like vanishing wind and disappeared, but didn't move. I wasn't sure. I thought maybe she would move. She didn't, okay? So I moved my Grenadier in to reveal her, thinking she's still there. So Grenadier gets into position. It's a flanked position on her as well, and reveals her. She's still standing there. It was an 80% chance to hit, so I took the shot, thinking, you know, do some shredding to the armor and stuff, and just get ready for the rest of the boys to, like, dogpile her or whatever. And fucking, she's on full health. She hasn't even been touched yet. Executed. It was fucking glorious. Like, it was insane. And then we pegged away at the sarcophagus thing. She came back, half health, and then we just one-shot her, and it was, oh my god, it was so dreamy. Like, I'm at the point in the game now where my guys are just so strong, we're just snowballing through everything. Like, the avatar progress is just nothing.
It does get to a point where there's no fight you can lose.
It's so fucking ropey at first,
it's about, it's ropey at first. Once you get ahead of that curve, it feels like it gets easier.
Yeah, I'm all teched. I've got all the upgrades, everything. Everybody's got, like, good
You're at the point where
types.
basically the end is in sight. I feel like a little bit like with War of the Chosen. I don't necessarily think...
I think once you get rid of the actual Chosen, it's awesome, because, like, they never fuck with you again.
Well, it feels like you don't often even need to kill the Chosen, though. Like, for me, it was like, well, why would I bother even doing this? I could just finish the game.
No, but they come in, they turn up in the final mission if you don't. That makes it even harder. Because the final mission is pretty hard. You get lots
the final mission's hard anyway. You
get lots of bad guys.
I haven't got that far. Me and Ben haven't got that far. We're sort of playing it much more slowly than you. You're sort of burning through it all on multiple hours of streaming every day. And you've overtaken us multiple times or multiple playthroughs. But no, it's such a great game, XCOM 2,
I've got so much time for that game. I fucking love it, man. It's so good. They've done such a good job. I'm, like, really excited to see what they do next.
Yeah. You know, the guys that made the Long War mod are making their own standalone game?
Really? Well, I'm not surprised. Like, that tends to be what happens. That's what happened with Chivalry, wasn't it? Chivalry was the standalone version of these guys who'd made a shit ton of mods before. That did
it's amazing.
I mean,
there's a game I play called Civil War. And it's a fantastic game. I'll give you the proper name. It's called Ultimate General Civil War. Okay, so these guys were the guys that made the Darth mod for Total War. And, like, if anybody's played the original Total War Rome and stuff like that, there was this guy called Darth mod, and they did those mods. So they made this game. So I love these small game studios because I feel like if they've started off in the mod community and then moved into making games, they've seen what AAA titles and big games companies make, and they're like, you know what? This would be really good if it just had this, 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 and this, and this.
Yeah.
And they make it much simpler, and they tend to improve it a little bit, and they take the gloss off and put more gameplay in. That's the way it feels to me.
Yeah, you're right.
So there's a game I'm playing at the moment called Hold Fast. Sips, I think you saw me streaming it the other night, right?
It looks awesome. I really want to play it.
It's so fucking funny. Yeah. It's like a Napoleonic era game. 150 players on the server.
I was watching you guys last night, and you were on boats. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, we were doing the ship battles. So you spawn on you have your crews. You're like spawning on this little sloop. You have to load the guns and roll them out, and there's like a helmsman, you got a captain with a telescope and everything, you roll around, you blow up these ships. It's fucking amazing. The land battles is like 150 players, literally 150 players. So you'll form like a line of like 50 people, and you'll literally all say, right, ready, aim, fire, and all the musketmen will fire, and you've got like drummers and flag bearers and stuff. It's amazing. That game was made by 3 dudes. 3 people.
Jeez.
There's a little studio called Anvil Games. They're in Malta, and there's 3 of them. One guy's a programmer, one guy's like the lead designer and everything, and the other guy's like the art director and stuff. They just fucking made it, and it's amazing. I was streaming it, and they were in the chat answering questions and shit. And I was like, this is what I fucking like, man. These little game studios, they love games, and they're like, we're working on this, we're working on that. It's amazing to me. I hope they do new stuff. XCOM 2 was fantastic. I mean, if you look at what they did with the War of the Chosen, they pulled in a lot of stuff that modders had made and made it part of the game because they're like, this is too good. Like, we have to put this in the game. So I really hope that that they stay open like that. Like games companies, sometimes when the title gets too big, they don't want to listen to the community and to modders anymore.
Yeah.
But modders are like the brilliant voice of the community. Because if they come up with, it's like so democratic as well. They come up with an idea. If it's shit, it's not popular. If this mod makes the game amazing, this will be more popular than the base game.
Yeah.
And people will be fucking downloading this and playing it like crazy. I love it.
Yeah,
I
like it too. I think I played so XCOM the playthrough I'm doing right now. I use the Shen's Last Gift DLC, which it gives you like a story mission, but then it makes it so that you can build mechs in the proving ground and take them out with your squads, and like they're pretty awesome. Like I've got like a mech. It's named after one of the guys in my Twitch chat called Plips. And he's Spanish. The robot speaks Spanish and is very colorful. But they've got just these awesome abilities. Like you can build them to be like just these like wrecking balls, or you can build them to be like really sort of tanky and supportive of like the rest of your crew. So like I've got this skill with my mech, my main mech, where he provides full cover. So he's got like that, like.
Yeah.
So you can stand him in the middle of a field and then just get people in behind him, and he's full cover, and it's awesome. It's so good. There's just so many little things like
we had a mech.
So awesome.
He got one shot by an Andromedon.
Oh yeah, that does happen.
He was just standing in the fucking open.
When Andromedons hit, man, they hit fucking hard. Like
they do.
Crazy.
Do you know the most annoying fucking unit in XCOM I find is the mech dude that fires the grenade launchers. That shit always fucks me up.
Yeah.
Every fucking time. He turns up, he runs forward, he kneels down, choo 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 choo, blows up all your cover, knocks a bunch of dudes over. Oh my god. Fucking mechs. I always go full like I want guys with the Talon rounds that take down the mechs, or the Bluetooth or whatever the fuck it is, the rounds that kill mechs. I try to make my guys. Yeah. I try to make my guys immune to explosions and stuff. I fucking hate the mechs, or I'll hack them. I'll get one guy hacking, I'll hack the mech, take it over, run it right into trouble, grenades everywhere. I love it.
I just like you just need a sniper with blue screen rounds, and you can one-shot mechs.
Do you know, honestly, the last few runs I've done, snipers, not been a big thing for us. It's not been a big thing for us, yeah. Because I find that I just don't use them. We just get in amongst them.
It's just to shoot people from across the map. That's all with the sniper until they.
No, we get right in there, man. Yeah. Shinobis or whatever they.
Anyway, let's
Rangers.
not talk too much
Rangers.
about XCOM 2. Yeah. So the Jingle Jam has begun, and this has consumed a huge amount of my time over the last couple of weeks trying to get all this stuff together. And Terps 2, and it's pretty tough actually. There's a few things I wanted to run by you, which are kind of a bit weird. So obviously we're trying to fill up the schedule, trying to do different streams from usual, and we've got a list of games, and it's tough to get people like developers to kind of give us their games, right? And one reason is because a lot of people just buy this shit up and sell it on G2A kind of thing. And so, I think that previously developers have been like, well, I gave my game to the Jingle Jam bundle, and there's just 20,000 copies of it on G2A now, kind of thing.
Wow.
Which is kind of a problem in a way, but at the same time, it's not really that much of a problem, is it? Because at the end of the day, you raised a whole load of money for charity, and so that's just how it is.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I can understand that point, and so a lot of people have been very reticent to give their games the bundle this year. And also we've had this much more increased of free-to-play games. So games that didn't used to be free-to-play are now free-to-play, and so how do they give stuff to the bundle? And in a way, they can give stuff that's like a heroic pack or whatever, of some special stuff to get in the game. Which is cool, but it's almost like, how do you make that not just like an advert? Do you know what I mean? I'm beginning to worry that the Jingle Jam is almost like a newspaper just stuffed full of ads.
Yeah.
Because it's like free to play game, and so because it's not necessarily clear what people are getting from these things, and they don't want them to just be glorified sort of ads or anything. But at the same time, I quite like a bit of good stuff. If it's if it costs you if it was 10 Hearthstone packs, whatever, which obviously we're never ever going to get because Blizzard are never going to give us anything, or any big company is never going to give us anything. I mean, we're talking about your indie games people. It's those 3-man teams who are the people
donating their games to the Jingle Jam. Really, mainly anyone who's of any size is not interested in
That's a shame.
taking part. But I think that even something like a few packs for Hearthstone or something like that, or a hero would be amazing. People would buy.
Yeah.
People would pay $25 just for a fucking hero portrait in the bundle. Do you know what I mean? Like a unique hero.
And you're
portrait.
doing some good for Christ's sake. Like, come on.
So my dream is that will happen one day. One day in the distant future.
Yeah.
It feels like we work really hard for Blizzard. We kind of do all sorts of things for them, and they're very kind of. It's so disappointing because Terps is constantly doing stuff, working hard, going to Gamescom, doing the presenting, coming up with ideas, talking to everyone, doing stuff, and like they're constantly like, well, nah, or it's not good enough, or nah.
Well, I think they've just got their idea of what they want to
He's like
do.
an annoying kid who's kind of like too keen. I think Terps is maybe being too keen.
No, I think he just has to. It's one of those things. They're a big company. They know what they want to do. They've got obviously they've got roadmaps for everything that they do well in advance, sort of thing. And I think Terp's probably doing the right thing. Actually, you just got to keep trying, and then something will stick, sort of thing. Like that's all you can do, I think.
Yeah, the Jingle Jam bundle's great. Like, there's a huge amount of generosity. We've got, 60 games or whatever, and there's that in terms of like a good deal, it's like hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of stuff for $35 or whatever the price is now, and it's like, it's like it is definitely like in terms of it, but you can't expect good games in it, particularly or new games either. It's tough for people. Everyone has to make, these guys have to make their money at Christmas as well, and I can understand that people wouldn't want to just give away their stuff for free, especially if
Here's
their game's
one.
still selling.
I know Rust is going to be in there, ain't it?
Yeah, I mean,
So here's the thing.
Worth it for Rust alone, I think.
Rust is the fucking business, and by the time you're listening to this podcast, we will already be live with the Rust Yogg server. I think, and this is what we're looking at now, it's like a 500-person server. Can you guys fucking believe
That's
it?
crazy.
500-person server.
Yeah, that's gonna be
Ackerwise
nuts.
is all over it, and it's going to be ridiculous. And week 2, this should go out. So when this podcast goes out, it'll be week 1. Week 1 will have been clan limit size of 5, newbie friendly. Everybody's just going to get used to the game, basic Rust stuff. Week 2 is going to be unbelievable. You guys, if you haven't got it yet, get it and be ready for week 2. Week 2 is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, so hopefully there'll be some. Hopefully, I mean, what I really want to do is have more streams than we've got scheduled, because there's a lot of people who want to do stuff. Hatfields want to do their music stream. Martin wants to do a day, and if you're streaming in the evening, PFLAX or whatever, I hope that you'll be able to drop into the Rust server and do stuff parallel with the Jingle Jam. So that's something I haven't really talked about. Because I've got so much planning to do before it launches tomorrow. I'm just losing my shit. I haven't published a schedule yet. I haven't finalized a whole bunch of crap. What?
Lewis. How many Jingle Jams have you done now?
5.
And how have you enjoyed them?
Very much. Yeah.
Have they been a success?
Well, yes, they've all been a success, PFLAX.
Why are you worried, homie?
I'm not really worried. I'm just.
You've got a team of people pulling for you.
I'm not worried.
The viewers are ready. Don't worry. Don't worry.
I'm going out of my way this year to bring the whole thing down from the inside. Just gonna put a real stick right into the spokes of the jingle jangle and just bring it all down. So
just be confident.
That's gonna be my thing.
You can do it. Last year we raised what, $2 million?
I know.
Yeah,
it was a lot
2.5 million. It was 2.5. That's nuts.
Boom.
Me and Terps for Dad Decks, we're doing a special stream that we're still organizing and planning, but it's coming together nice and it should be pretty good. It's gonna be probably in the middle of the month, December, but it's gonna be Hearthstone themed because it's Dad Decks, and it's pretty exciting. We're pretty excited about it. If it all comes together and goes forward, I think it'll be a pretty good one. So that's something to look forward to if you like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, that's definitely in the later half. Yeah, I think that's all. I when you said you were going to organise the stream, Tips, I was like,
what?
I was like, oh, well, let's see whether that actually happens. But no, you've done it all. You've sorted it out. It's booked in. It's it's gonna happen. I'm excited for it now.
I'm
Monday
not a
18th.
very enthusiastic
Tune in, 8
person
o'clock.
or competent person, but sometimes I can pull it out of the bag. I feel like this time we've sort of pulled it out of the bag, which is pretty good. So we'll see. I mean, it might all fall through. Who knows? But I don't know. We're
Terps
excited.
wants to get legend in Hearthstone over December.
He does.
Decided that this is his year, and you might
Yeah,
be the
yeah.
one to help him, Sips.
Well, he doesn't believe that I earned legend. He said I played a meme deck, which I didn't, and I don't think he realizes what goes into it. It's a lot of fucking games. Like I played upwards of about 500 to 600 games the month that I got legend. It was nuts. I had to play it like hours and hours a day, every day. Keep playing, keep grinding, and I got it. So I don't know.
That's crazy.
But we'll
That's
see.
crazy.
We'll see. You might get
Good
it.
luck.
Yeah, yeah. You good. You just gotta get. You gotta find a deck that you're comfortable with, that you like playing,
and
it's
you've got to
gotta
learn all of your
You gotta
matchups
learn
too.
all of your outs. You gotta learn all of the matchups, and it's gotta just have a good win rate as well. You can't waste your time on a deck that has a low win rate because it's never gonna get you anywhere, right? So
Also,
you
it
just
has to be moderately fast because, like, if you pick a deck which is fatigue mage or whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
then you're gonna
you want
fucking-
to close games sort of like turn 7 or 8 if you can, and those are like the fast ones. Pretty good.
You don't want to be
you know.
like going half an hour per game, or else we'll never see it. Anyway, I don't know why we're giving tips to Terps from remotely. He will have had all this already. Thank
Yeah,
you
he'll
everyone for
figure it
listening
out.
to the podcast this week. We'll be back. There's a couple of mornings that we're all free, so we'll see if we can
Yeah.
record some Christmassy podcasts for you guys.
Yes.
I'm down in a couple of weeks' time.
Pyrian's coming
We're
down.
gonna
Yeah,
have a
we're
fun
gonna
time.
we're gonna play the pokers and stuff. That'll be.
I
awesome.
need to sort.
Oh,
I
I
might be
can't
coming
wait.
down. I'm not sure though. I've got a trip next week, and that might sort of.
You're off to
make it-
America. Yeah.
We're off to America, yeah, next week for a couple of days. So.
Well, I think we
Um,
can say it's Hearthstone related, can't we? Because it'll be out. The podcast will be out by then. So.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's another Dad Deck special thing for December, so it's
Yeah.
pretty
Have
good.
a great time, dude.
Have a good time. Yeah. enjoy
Thanks,
yourself.
man. Thank you. Thanks so much. It's gonna be nice. We're gonna be in Hollywood this time, so it's gonna be pretty exciting.
Well, say hi to Tom Cruise for me.
Bette Midler,
Say
yeah.
hi to
well-
J-Lo. You know how we feel about J-Lo.
Yeah, man.
Say hi
I'll
to
see if I
J-Lo.
can track her down. Maybe I can take her shoe shopping or something. She'd like that.
I want you to get a picture of you with J-Lo where you're just like pointing at her butt, like with a like wow
Yeah.
look on your face, and she's sort of giving a thumbs up to the camera.
Yeah,
what I
that's
want.
And you're dabbing.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
dabbing
exactly
next to her
what I'm
butt.
gonna do, guys. I'll do it for you. I promise.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers, y'all.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Lots of
Bye.
love. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, it's that time again. It's the time again where the spacey sympathizer comes at you with a well-rehearsed introduction to the Triforce podcast featuring Lewis Brinley of the Yogscast,
Hi.
Pyrian Flax, also of the Yogscast,
Hello.
and myself, Sips from the Yogscast. Here I am.
It's
Hi.
rocketing towards Christmas.
Oh, yeah,
guys.
you're right
like,
about that,
At a
actually.
rate of fucking knots.
Yeah.
Honestly, people are like tinsel's out, Christmas markets are out, people are buying presents and Christmas decorations. I can't quite believe that it's happening.
Tinsel's out, ass up.
This year
Let's do this.
has been
Christmas,
so fast.
motherfuckers. Yeah.
I read that I read a thing on Reddit. Okay, and I don't know if this is true, but it was basically if time is appearing to go too fast, right?
Right.
Just start doing something, working towards something every day.
Right.
Like that guy who I saw who went out and like planted a tree every day for like
Like the
34
guy
years.
who ate that Spitfire. Remember that guy? He ate a whole Spitfire. And it must have taken him, he must have eaten like maybe like a tiny piece of metal per day over the course of like 50 years to finally eat that thing.
Well, I hope. Well, I guess.
And
well,
now he can
Spitfires-
fly.
No,
You know what's kind of crazy to think though? Like in
Go on.
World War II, they were so desperate for resources, they would have hung that guy for eating a Spitfire at the time. But now in the modern day, he can fucking eat one and nobody gives a shit. Like,
It's the slowest kind of sabotage in history, right?
yeah.
We believe that German spies are eating our planes very slowly.
At a rate of one small piece of metal per day. I don't know how you digest that, but whatever. I mean, I have problems digesting a banana, which is actual food.
So this guy is the guy who's known as the guy who eats anything, right? He's eaten like bicycles, shopping carts. He ate a TV.
But how? How do you eat a shopping cart? Like that's like I've thrown many shopping carts into creeks in my life, and they don't even bend or anything. Like they're made of like hard shit. Like it's hard to bend up a shopping cart, let alone how would you even start to eat one? Like how do you get the metal soft enough to like, chew it up and stuff? How does it work?
So he's basically drank a lot of mineral oil,
right?
And washed and sort of lubed up his throat, I guess, and like swallowed, like broke up the metal into small bits.
Right. Okay. So it's not a case of just like gnawing on it enough to like chew it.
No, it
break
wouldn't
pieces
dissolve
off.
it.
Oh, okay.
It's like he had a very thick lining, right, of his stomach. And
okay.
He's dead now, by the way.
Well, yeah, I'm not surprised.
And also he had this eating disorder, pica, where people
shopping
eat,
cartitis.
yeah, people eat like weird stuff. It's a common thing actually that people would eat like hard things. It's like I was watching the Louis Theroux documentary about anorexia, and it's kind of like reverse obesity. Like well, obviously it is, I guess, but people. It's like people have this just incredible fear of eating, and
right.
Man, it was a really good documentary. Actually, I've been watching all the Louis Theroux stuff lately.
Yeah, I watched that one too, the anorexia one. Right, it's really, really quite depressing. I hate watching stuff. I know, like it's a terrible condition to have and stuff, but man, it's like so. It just feels so hopeless. Like the people that have it, like. Did you see that woman who had it for like 45 years? She was like in her 60s or whatever.
Yeah,
just like her whole life really revolved around.
And she was, she had like this pile of boiled sweets in her cupboard.
Yeah,
she was
that's right. Yeah,
she was like this little pile of boiled sweets. I suck them for a little bit, then I put them back in the cupboard.
God,
and it was like so disgusting.
Yeah, but it's all to do with feeling bad, like feeling like she doesn't deserve things and stuff. And it's awful.
It's really awful actually. It's really it's not what you think sometimes. Everyone's different as well, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, that's the problem. I think that everyone wants everything to be black and white, right?
Yeah.
Certainly, like if you're a doctor or if you're a patient, you want to know that I've either got something or I haven't, or if you want to prescribe medication to someone or have insurance, it has to be you either had something or you haven't. And the problem is that it's 1,000 shades of different. It's everyone's experience with these disorders is different, and so therefore everyone's treatment needs to be different, and sometimes it's very difficult to get that. And so I mean, with anorexia, like I think it's a little bit like all of these things. Like if you meet someone with depression, the automatic response is to just yell at them, just cheer up, just don't be so miserable. Right? If you meet someone with anorexia, you're like, just eat something. You can see why.
Do you think
their family and people get frustrated with them, right?
Because it stems from a selfish place, though, doesn't it? Because when people say stuff like that, it's because they want to feel. They don't want to feel like dragged down by someone, right? Like it's like I think people say that like just be happy, just feel better or whatever, because it's like hassle for them. Like this person who's not like feeling well or not happy or whatever, you know what I mean? Like
I think it's a combination of that, and it's also people just can't empathize. If you break a leg, everyone can see that, right? Your fucking leg is broken, there's bones sticking out through the skin. It's like, ooh, that looks nasty. You get the cast on, it's clear that you broke your leg, and you could just say, oh yeah, better rest up and get well, but if you say, like, everyone knows people who's had depression. I mean, I know people who've had like severe depression. I've been sad and depressed at points in my life, but because I had something to be depressed about, it was different. But some people are just fucking miserable even when everything should be really good, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to explain that to people.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest problem with mental health is not the stigma, but literally the inability of regular people to empathize with something when you're like, but how can you be depressed? You have all this and you have that. And it's very, very, very hard to empathize with something that is not something you can point at, not something that apparently you can even really fix. And it's just like, well, what the fuck do you do? So people just panic and just fucking cheer up, like you said. But it's almost impossible to put yourself in that person's position if you don't suffer from it.
Yeah. I think it's like the OCD thing, when people are saying, oh, it's triggering my OCD or whatever, and people with actual OCD get offended by that, rightfully so, because OCD in itself is like this crippling condition. that basically ruins your life.
Yeah,
and, like,
there was a guy.
People who get slightly annoyed about things not being symmetrical, like, probably don't actually have OCD. Or probably don't have like a terrible life off the back of it, sort of thing. But some of these people that suffer from OCD, like the rituals that they do every day, it just consumes their whole day. Like, you're talking about somebody like tapping on a kettle 50 times before turning it on and stuff, and that's just like the tip of the iceberg.
It gets so bad that it's like a really severe OCD sufferer. It is a complete disability. Like, it 100% is.
But I think that is just to do with the way that people use language, right? You go outside and you're a little bit cold. You say, "Oh, it's freezing out here," or you go to the shop to buy some food. And you're like, "I'm starving." Yeah. Everyone always jumps to like the most extreme
Won't someone
thing,
think
right?
of the hungry Inuit people who are actually starving and freezing? No one's thinking of them, are they?
No, they're like the last thing on my mind when I use that language.
And they have to stack the snow just so for their igloo, and if they mess up, they got to start all over again because they're also OCD sufferers and they're depressed with good cause.
And they're probably eating like sleds and stuff, and like eating igloos, just chewing on them, trying to get them down.
Gaming culture is terrible for all this, though. There's so many terms that are used like in gaming regularly that are potentially super offensive. You know, like calling something cancer. Calling something AIDS. I mean, we do it all the time. There used to be it used to be popular to use the word rape, like for your team getting destroyed or whatever and stuff, and like you see that less so now. But
even at school though, when I was at school and stuff, it was the word gay. You know, like it was a commonly used word to say that something just was not that.
In the
cool.
90s, it was
a bit. Oh, that's a bit gay.
Yeah,
it's like a bit annoying. Like kind of, I don't know, and the problem is that was part of my language as a teenager, and therefore I have to fight against using it now because I know it's not kind of.
You have to battle the resist.
But the same thing with retarded.
Retarded.
This fucking sandwich is fucking retarded and gay.
Yeah, and in the
90s,
it was so typical. It was used in TV shows and everything. It was almost like it almost became like part of like surfer lingo or something.
It was like family radio.
Dude, that shit is retarded. Like, I'm pretty sure they said that word multiple times in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. I'm not even joking. Like,
and in TMNT, all the racial slurs they were chucking around was unbelievable. It was disgraceful.
I think people don't like to use mild terms. Like if you're someone who like needs to have all your pencils lined up on your desk, you're probably a bit anal, right?
Yeah.
But people don't want to say, "Oh, I'm really anal today."
Yeah.
Right. They'd rather be like, "Oh, I'm all OCD today." I don't know. But it's appropriatized by its use. You know, so many people refer to themselves, and it's been, if it's said on Hollywood shows and it's said in common parlance on the media that we consume, then that's why it enters the lingo from there. But then again, that common lingo does enter Hollywood, and then it cycles around and becomes this.
But once it becomes
kind of
mainstream, people don't want to say it anymore. That's the thing.
No, that's the thing.
I think if you had. Jesus, I don't know. Think of a fucking example for yourselves, all right? But if you had that example that's in your mind saying that thing.
Jizz mop.
Jizz mop?
Yeah, I find that one a little bit
That
offensive.
would be everywhere, and then people would get sick of jizz mop.
Cum dumpster as well is pretty offensive. I don't like that one.
Oh my god, that is pretty awful. I mean, I seem to remember seeing that on like a glittery, like child's top or whatever. Show me. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Wasn't one of the My Little Ponies called Cum Dumpster?
And her best friend Jizz Mop.
Oh my god. I'd watch that show if that was the case.
Brony scum.
Me too. God. Man,
it sounds like something out of Rick and Morty, doesn't it?
It does. Just I've got to talk about this guy because I can't stop thinking about him now. This is going back to the OCD stuff, right? When I was growing up, there was a guy in our neighborhood. There was a mental institution, if you like, in our area.
I like how this is. You mean where you lived?
No, I didn't live in it.
I grew up near to a mental institution. This is a story about my friend.
Very near, actually. Yeah. But he was one of the guys that they put back into the community, to live as normal a life as he could, because he wasn't dangerous. He just struggled with this OCD, and it was so bad.
He enjoyed playing Dota.
He loved Dota. He eventually join the Yogscast. He's here today, all the way from Twickenham. No, he would cross the road, and he had to do it in a very specific way. And if he messed up, he had to go all the way back again and start crossing the road again. And I mean, who knows what his ritual was? You know, it was arcane and complicated, and you sort of didn't want to stare, so you couldn't just watch him and learn exactly what he had to do. But my mum worked in a shop around there, and he would come in, and everything had to be just so. And when he was paying, he had to do all this stuff with the money. He had to sort of hand it to you, then take it back, hand it to you, take it back, hand it to you, take it back. Then he had to put it on the counter, line it up in a certain way, put it back in his hand it to you, take it back. And it's like when he was at the counter, one person would have to just sort of be serving him, and as other customers come up behind, the person serving would just sort of give one of those tiny head shakes, like, no, go to another counter, you know, to try and get us we're going to be here a while.
I love those little cues, actually. I mean, it's something which is kind of, you only see in like board games and real life, like those kind of, you don't, because we play games and we're so virtual all the time, we do miss those kind of subtle, like emotional clues, like for example, we did the Star Trek VR game. You know, it was great to like have a kind of this. We were working together on the bridge to fly the Enterprise. You know, and like Duncan would say something, or Terps would say something, or do something, and Shin would like turn his head to me, and I would turn my head back, and like, you know, like, do you know what I mean? We would have these like little moments of like physical, like kind of, and that's because we've been playing a lot of board games lately. We've been playing a lot of things, and especially when you're playing like a bluffing game or something like that, there's a lot more of those little nods and winks and stuff. Like when we were playing D&D the other day for Yogs Quest, it was you know, occasionally, you know, P-Flax would give me a wink, and I'd be like, oh my god, this is I don't know. It's just I thought I'd mention that because it's certainly something that is worth. If you don't play a lot of board games, you should do it, because especially the good ones.
There was also there was a moment where Tom gave you a look like, wrap it up now, like we finished, sort of thing. And I thought that was like, I saw that look, and you saw that look. You guys didn't see that I saw that look, but I knew to shut up at that point, because I knew we were wrapping up the episode. I was like, all right, don't fucking come in here, period. Just keep your big trap shut for a little bit. It's yeah. That's why I think if we did this podcast all in the same room, we wouldn't talk over each other, but it's difficult online, isn't it? Especially.
Yeah, I think we'd give each other better cues and stuff. But I think this does allow us to be more thoughtful. I mean, my eyes sort of glaze over when I'm doing this podcast and kind of just like.
So I've been playing a game recently where...
Sorry, so I took us away from the topic, which was OCD gentleman in the shop, struggling along with his stuff. But, I mean, board games is an interesting one too, right? Like, I've been playing a bunch of different board games lately. I've got a couple. I got Seven Wonders Duel. I got Honshu. I got a bunch of, like, two-player games as well, like Jaipur and stuff like this. And I've really been enjoying just the physical board game playing of recently. And obviously, if you haven't played any of these board games, you should do, because they're really good. Just, you know, Christmas is coming up, family coming around. My parents came down, and we played some Code Words this weekend.
Really?
Wow.
Which my dad can just about manage, actually, Code Words. My dad's pretty old now.
Yeah.
How old is he again?
He's 81.
Man, how the fuck did your dad have you when he was like in his 50s? That's fucked up.
I know.
He didn't.
He fucking did.
Lewis's mum did.
Well, yeah, no, but he fucking
Well,
helped.
he was 45, 46.
Oh, right.
So yeah, I don't know. My dad's good. Right? I like my dad a lot. He's the kindest soul. He's just a gentle guy. Just a bit. He's turned into a bit of an old man though. He's getting a bit deaf, and he's starting to sort of turn towards being a bit of an old man. He's still sharp as a tack though when he needs to be, and he's very. It's just he's been a very happy man all of his life. You know, I'm not really jealous, I guess, but I'm kind of happy for him that he's had this. He doesn't really need anything. You know, he's quite happy bimbling around at home. You know, watering the plants, feeding the birds, kind of, you know, going in the garage.
Jesus, this sounds like my life now. That's the scary thing. But you know what? I do sometimes think, I look at someone like that, and your dad is like, maybe, let's say he's like 82 or whatever. That's like twice my age. So I'm literally halfway there. Like, I'm literally halfway.
That's why they call it over the hill, man. You're
for
like...
real. Like when I think about everything I've done in my life for 41 years, that actually seems like quite a lot of shit. Like a lot of fucking stuff has happened since 1976. I mean, 1976.
Yeah.
That was a long ass time ago.
It is. It was. And thinking, and think of the last like 10 years specifically of your
Yeah.
life. What have you been doing? Playing lots of video
Playing
games.
video games. But I
Like,
mean, fucking
fuck tons of
1976
video
was
games.
1 year after Vietnam ended.
Yeah.
Right? To put it in historical context, the United States was 200 years old that year. Like, there was a huge celebration. I was too young to remember it. I wasn't living in the States at the time. But, I mean, that you look back at the 70s, and it looks like a completely different planet. Like, everybody's skinnier. Everybody's got more hair. It looks completely different.
Yeah.
Everybody's dressed kind of pretty basically. It's like everything looks kind of cheap and shitty in a way
Yeah.
compared to now. Everything seems all flashy and fancy.
Well, then the 80s came along and like everything was clunky and beige and shitty looking as well.
Wow, it's all fucking. The hair got bigger, the
Yeah.
clothes got weirder, the music got awesomer, and then and now we're here. That's pretty much it. I don't really remember
the 80s
anything.
as well, the drugs got better too. Like you had cocaine and stuff in the 80s.
I mean, and now we got fucking crystal meth and shit.
Yeah, I
Oh
know.
shit! Did you watch that fucking Louis Theroux documentary about the heroin addicts in? I can't remember. I think
I
it was
did.
It was
yeah,
Huntington,
I've been
right?
watching all of them. The only one I missed, I think, was the Scientology one. I haven't seen that one yet.
I haven't.
the
I've
recent
only
one.
seen the
Yeah,
first
his
one.
Scientology movie. I didn't think it was very good because
No.
there was a really good Scientology movie
They're
that came
super.
out as well.
Apparently,
and
they're
so-
super fucking